The pack thinks I sleep because the lights go out. They're wrong. The dark is where Rachel comes back to me. Never whole, never mercifully clear. Just pieces of her, broken and sharp enough to draw blood. A laugh first. Soft, unwilling. The kind she used to make when she was trying not to let me win an argument. Then the smell of rain. Mud, blood, burning sage thick enough to choke on. Then her hand in mine. Warm brown skin slick with rain and something darker. Fingers trembling but stubborn, nails biting into my palm, as if she was the one trying to keep me from disappearing. I can't see all of her face. That is the cruelty of it. I remember the curve of her mouth, full and shaking around words I never want to hear again. I remember the dark flash of her eyes. I remember coils of black hair plastered to her cheek, wild from the storm, soft where my fingers had once learned their way through them. But the rest of her slips. Every night she slips. Drake. Her voice is the only thing that stays whole. It tears through the dream and through me. I try to answer, but my throat is full of smoke. My chest is splitting open. Something inside me is clawing toward her, frantic and half mad, the wolf in me throwing itself against bone and skin. Rachel's fingers loosen. No, I hold tighter. Her eyes lift to mine, and there is so much grief in them that even in the dream, even after all these years, it ruins me. Let me go, she whispers. I wake with a snarl ripping out of my chest. The headboard shatters beneath my hands. For a second I am not a man, not fully. My claws are buried deep in carved oak, splinters lodged beneath my nails, my breath coming out in rough, animal bursts. Gold burns across my vision. My canines ache. Every muscle in my body is locked so tight it feels like my bones might crack under the pressure. The room smells like sweat, blood, and old rage. Not Rachel. Never Rachel. That is what breaks me again. I wrench my claws free from the ruined headboard and sit on the edge of the bed, elbows on my knees, trying to remember how to breathe like something civilized. My wolf paces beneath my skin. Not calmly, never calmly. He scrapes at me, low and vicious, his grief older than language. He does not understand politics. He does not understand time. He does not care how many seasons have buried her name under silence. Mate, he snarls. The word hits the hollow place inside me where the bond used to live. I close my eyes. There is nothing there. No warmth, no thread, no answering pulse. Just absence. A wound with no blood left in it. A knock lands on the bedroom door. Once, then nothing. Mason knows better than to enter. Alpha. His voice is careful from the other side. I stare at my hands. My fingers are human again, but blood drips slowly from beneath my nails onto the dark floor. I'm fine. The lie sounds dead before it reaches the door. Mason waits long enough to make it clear he knows that. Then his footsteps retreat down the hall. Good. If he came in here with pity in his eyes, I might forget he is my second and not another thing in this world daring to breathe while Rachel doesn't. Except she does. She has to. I stand too fast. The room tilts, but I ignore it. The mirror above the dresser catches me in pieces. Dark hair damp with sweat, jaw unshaven, eyes still too gold to pass for human. There are shadows beneath them that never leave anymore. My pack pretends not to notice. They pretend many things. They pretend their alpha is cold because power requires it. They pretend the empty chair beside mine in the great hall does not exist. They pretend no one remembers the woman who should have sat there. They do not say her name. Not in my hearing. Not if they value their throats. I turn away from the mirror and go to the bathroom. Cold water runs red over my hands. Splinters come free one by one. I feel each sting, each tiny tear of flesh, and welcome it because pain with a reason is almost peaceful. Almost. By the time I dress, dawn has started bleeding through the curtains. The pack house is already awake. It always wakes carefully. Doors open softly. Voices lower when I pass. Wolves who once looked me in the eye now bare their necks before I ask them to. Children are pulled gently out of hallways. Warriors straighten. Elders nod with too much respect and not enough ease. Fear has a scent, sharp, bitter, obedient. It follows me all the way to the council room. Good. Fear keeps people alive. Love does not. The first dispute is between two young wolves stupid enough to challenge each other over patrol rank behind the training grounds. Both stand before me bruised, bleeding, and trying not to shake. I let the silence work on them. It always does. You want rank? I ask. The taller one swallows. Yes, Alpha. Then earn discipline first. His eyes drop. I assign them both to night border duty for 3 weeks under Mason's command. No complaints, no mercy. They leave relieved I did not make an example of them with my teeth. The second matter is a family requesting permission for their eldest daughter to train with the hunters. Her father speaks first. Her mother holds the girl's hand too tightly. The girl looks at me like she expects refusal. I look back at her, 16, proud, terrified of wanting something loudly. Rachel used to look at the world like that. Before. My jaw tightens. If she passes the trial, she trains, I say. The girl's breath catches. Her father starts to argue. I look at him. He stops. The third report is rogue movement along the eastern boundary. 3 sets of tracks, no attack yet, testing maybe, or bait. I send 6 wolves to sweep the ridge and 2 to watch the river pass. Efficient, clean, alpha decisions. The kind my pack understands. This is what they need me to be. A blade, not a man. By noon the council room empties, but Mason stays. So do the trackers. The map is already spread across the long table. I hate that map. It covers half the northern territory and spills into human cities, old pack roads, abandoned coven sites, unclaimed towns where a person could disappear if they knew how. Red pins mark confirmed searches. Black pins mark bodies that were not hers. White thread connects sightings too thin to trust and too painful to ignore. 6 years. 11 months. I know the count down to the hour, but I never say it aloud. One of the trackers, Callum, steps forward with a folder in his hand. He is young enough to still believe bad news becomes less dangerous if delivered gently. Mason gives him a warning look. Callum misses it. The lead near Briar Glen went cold, he says. Everything in me stills. How cold? No scent matches, no witness confirmation. The woman was human, local, married with 2 children. I stare at the map. Briar Glen gets another red pin in my head. Another false pulse, another almost. Callum shifts his weight. There's more, Mason says low, careful. But Callum is tired. They all are. They have searched for years because I commanded it. They have followed shadows, rumors, half-seen faces in towns where nobody knows better than to lie to wolves. They have dug up graves, bribed witches, threatened rogues, crossed borders that should have started wars. And still, Rachel Underwood remains gone. Callum opens his mouth. Alpha, maybe it's time we consider that she... I move before the final word exists. The room cracks with the force of it. 1 second Callum is standing beside the table. The next his back slams against the stone wall and my hand is locked around his throat. Folders scatter across the floor. Someone growls. Maybe me. Callum's eyes go wide, the whites showing. His pulse hammers beneath my fingers. 1 squeeze. That is all it would take. 1 flex of my hand and he would never again try to bury my mate with his mercy. My claws prick his skin. Mason does not touch me. Smart man. Say it, I whisper. Callum cannot answer. He can barely breathe. Good. The wolf inside me wants his silence permanent. I lean closer, my voice dropping into something rougher than speech. Say she is dead. Callum's lips tremble. No sound comes out. The room holds its breath around us. I see myself then, reflected in his fear. Not alpha, not leader. Something uglier. Something grief has been feeding in the dark for years. Rachel would hate this version of me. The thought hits harder than it should. My grip loosens. Callum drops to his knees, coughing, one hand at his throat. Mason steps between us, only after I let him. Again smart. Get out, I say. No one waits to be told twice. Chairs scrape, boots retreat, the door closes. Mason remains. Of course he does. I stand with my back to him, staring at the map as if hate can make it speak. You almost killed him, Mason says. I know. He wasn't wrong to ask. I turn my head. Mason lowers his eyes, but he does not take it back. That is why he is still my second. He fears me, but not enough to become useless. He was wrong, I say. Mason is quiet for a long moment. Then softly, Drake. My name, not my title. That is more dangerous than anything Callum said. I look at him fully. Mason's face is worn with years of standing close to the blast radius of my grief. There was no scent, no trail, no bond. You know what that means for our kind. Yes. A mate bond does not simply vanish. It weakens, it frays, it screams before it dies. Ours went silent in a single night. The healers said shock, trauma, death. The elders said fate had taken back what it gave. The pack mourned. I did not. I searched until my body collapsed and my wolf shredded the inside of me raw. I searched past reason, past dignity, past the point where love becomes obsession, and obsession becomes the only thing keeping a man upright. No body, no grave, no final scent. Death leaves evidence. Rachel left nothing. Nothing except dreams where she begs me to let go. Mason exhales. What if those dreams are your mind trying to survive? I almost laugh. There is no humor in it. My mind has never been that kind. He has no answer for that. After he leaves, I remain in the council room alone. The afternoon light fades slowly across the map. Shadows stretch over towns and borders, and forests that have failed me. My hand aches where Callum's throat had been. Blood from my torn nails stains the edge of Rachel's file. I open it. There are only fragments inside. A blurred photograph from years ago, folded at the corner. Rachel looking away from the camera, laughing at something beyond the frame. Brown skin bright beneath summer sun. Hair in thick twists pulled over one shoulder. Eyes alive in a way that makes my chest hurt so badly I have to grip the table. Reports, dead ends. Descriptions that never capture her. Beautiful, they always say. As if that was the thing that mattered most. As if beauty was why my wolf still stands at the edge of my soul every night. Ears lifted, waiting. No, Rachel was not the face I wanted. She was the place my blood recognized as home. And homes do not vanish. They burn, they rot, they become ruins, but they leave something behind. I touched the photograph once, careful as if paper can bruise. I know you're alive, I say into the empty room. The words do not echo. They sink, somewhere beyond these walls, beyond the forest and the borders, and every lie that has kept her hidden. Rachel Underwood is breathing, hiding, running, maybe even praying I never find her. My wolf lifts his head inside me, restless and ruined. I close the file. Too bad. Dead women do not ask to be released.
People like to believe human towns are quiet. They aren't. They just make smaller noises, The hiss of old coffee burning too long on the warmer, the wet slap of tires on cracked pavement, the cough of pipes in the walls above the laundromat when Mrs. Henley runs her machines at 6 in the morning like she's trying to wash regret out of her bed sheets. Hartwell wakes ugly and ordinary. That is why I chose it. No one comes here unless they were born here, broke down here, or are hiding from something too big to name. It sits off a forgotten state road between soybean fields and sagging pine woods, with one gas station, 2 churches, a grocery store that smells like old cardboard, and Mabel's Diner, where the booths are red, cracked, and sticky no matter how hard I scrub them. I have lived here 3 years. Long enough for people to stop asking where I came from. Not long enough for them to know me. That is the balance. That is survival. Rachel, honey, table 4 needs more coffee. I glance over my shoulder. Table 4 needs Jesus and a cardiologist, but coffee's what I've got. Mabel barks a laugh from behind the register, cigarette voice rough from 40 years of things she refuses to apologize for. She is 72, mean to everyone she loves, and has never once asked why a 27-year-old woman with no family, no visitors, and no interest in dating showed up in her diner looking for work with cash in her pocket and fear tucked behind her teeth. That is why I stay. I grab the coffee pot and move through the morning rush with a smile that belongs to my face and nowhere else. "Morning, Ray," Mr. Collins says from table 4, newspaper folded beside his eggs. I hate when people shorten my name. I let him. "Morning. Do you want the coffee strong or legally questionable?" He grins, showing the gap in his front teeth. "You know how I like it." "Unfortunately," his wife smacks his arm. I pour. They laugh. I laugh too. It is easy now. That should scare me more than it does. Lies become muscle after enough repetition. Smile here. Roll your eyes there. Let the old men flirt because they think harmlessness excuses disrespect, then shut them down sweet enough that they tip anyway. Remember birthdays. Forget personal questions. Always say your aunt lives in Georgia. Never say which part. Never let anyone walk you home. Never bleed where someone can smell it. Never shift. Never answer when your wolf howls. I pass the window and catch my reflection in the glass. For half a second, I don't recognize myself. Not because I look different. I have kept enough of me to feel real when I touch my own face. Warm brown skin. Dark eyes that give away too much if I don't watch them. Full lips, today painted in a cheap plum gloss I bought at the grocery store because looking alive is sometimes easier than being it. My coiled hair is braided back beneath a patterned scarf, neat and practical, though a few curls have already escaped at my temples from the steam and the heat. I am young. Beautiful, people say sometimes, usually like it is a compliment and not a warning. They don't know beauty can be a flare in the dark. They don't know how many times I've wished to be forgettable. The bell over the diner door jingles. My hand tightens around the coffee pot before I can stop it. A man steps inside, shaking rain off his jacket. Human, middle-aged, smells like engine grease, cigarettes, and wet wool. Not him. My lungs loosen. I turn away before anyone notices. That is another rule. Do not react to doors. Do not react to storms. Do not react to men with dark hair. Do not react to anything that reminds you of Drake Evers. The name moves through me like a knife dragged slow beneath the ribs. I nearly dropped the coffee. "Ray?" Mabel calls. "I'm fine." I say it too fast. She gives me one look from behind the register. Her eyes are sharp, old, and blue, and mean enough to cut meat. "Didn't ask." "No, but you were about to." That is all she says. Bless her for it. By noon, the diner empties into its usual lull. Rain taps at the windows in soft gray fingers. The sky has been swollen all morning, heavy and low, pressing down on Hartwell until even the neon open sign looks tired. I wipe the counter, then wipe it again. My body knows something is wrong before my mind admits it. The air feels charged, not with thunder, with memory. My wolf lifts her head. I go still. She has been quiet for years because I made her quiet, because every day I swallow 3 bitter black drops from a brown glass bottle and wait for them to burn down my throat. Because I wear charms sewn into the lining of my coat, tucked beneath my mattress, taped under the windowsill. Because I salt the doorway every full moon and lock myself in the bathroom with the fan on so I don't hear the woods calling. Because wanting is dangerous. Because instinct cannot be trusted. Because I loved my mate so much I had to become a stranger to him. My wolf presses against my skin once, hard. A warning. My stomach turns. I set the rag down carefully. Taking my break, I tell Mabel. She narrows her eyes. You ate? I'm not hungry. That ain't what I asked, I force a grin. Yes, ma'am. Liar. But she lets me go. The bathroom is barely big enough to turn around in. The mirror is spotted at the edges, the sink stained with rust no amount of bleach can erase. Fluorescent light hums overhead and makes my brown skin look dull, ashen around my mouth from lack of sleep and too many suppressants. I lock the door, then I grip the sink until my knuckles ache. Not now, I whisper. My reflection stares back. I look like a woman. That is the trick of it. Just a woman in a diner bathroom with tired eyes and lipstick wearing off at the center of her mouth. A woman with rent due Friday. A woman who knows how to smile without inviting conversation. A woman who keeps her tips in an old coffee can beneath loose floorboards and sleeps with a silver knife under her pillow, even though silver burns her if she holds it too long. Human enough. Almost. My wolf does not care about almost. She rises again, restless, listening. Far away, something answers. Not a sound, not a scent. A pressure. Deep in my chest, in the place I carved empty and tried to survive around. My breath breaks. No. The word comes out too small. I fumble in my apron pocket for the bottle. My fingers shake as I unscrew the cap. 3 drops. That is the dose. I take 5. The medicine hits my tongue bitter as burnt roots and old pennies. My throat constricts. For a second, I think I might throw up. I press a hand over my mouth and wait for the familiar numbness to spread. It does. Slowly. My wolf snarls, then fades back into the dark where I keep her. I don't move until I can breathe without shaking. When I step out, Mabel is waiting by the pie case. She pretends to rearrange the lemon meringue. I pretend not to notice. You sick? She asks. No. You look like hell. Thank you. I was going for mysterious. You're going to take soup home tonight. I don't want soup. I didn't ask. There is a softness underneath her grumble that nearly undoes me. Kindness is harder than cruelty. Cruelty makes sense. Cruelty has edges. You can brace against it. Kindness gets in through cracks. I look away first. Fine, soup. Good girl. I should hate that. Instead, my chest aches. The rest of the shift crawls. Every time the door opens, my spine locks. Every time a truck slows outside, my pulse stutters. The rain grows heavier, drumming against the roof, running down the windows in crooked streams that turn the streetlights into bleeding stars, though it is barely afternoon. Storm weather. Drake loved storms. No, he didn't love them. He used to stand in them like they belonged to him. That is what my memory gives me as I refill ketchup bottles, with hands that won't stop trembling. Drake barefoot on the back steps of the pack house, rain slicking his dark hair to his forehead, golden eyes bright under the bruised sky. He had looked at me over his shoulder and smiled like the whole world had teeth, and he was ready to bite first. Come here, Rachel. I'm not standing in the rain just because you've got some alpha complex with the weather. That's not what this is. No. His grin had deepened. This is me asking nicely. You don't ask nicely. I ask you nicely. I shut the memory down, so hard pain flashes behind my eyes. A glass slips from my hand. It hits the floor and shatters. The diner goes quiet. Every head turns. I stare at the broken pieces around my shoes, chest tight, ears ringing with a voice that is not in this room. Ray, Mabel says carefully, I've got it. I crouch too fast. A shard slices my finger. Blood wells up, dark and immediate. My whole body goes cold. I shove my finger into my mouth before the scent can rise. Too late for a wolf. Not too late for humans. No one reacts. No one should. Still, panic claws its way up my throat. I gather the glass with a napkin and throw it away, then wrap my finger in a towel and keep moving, because stopping is how people notice the wound. Stopping is how people ask questions. By the time my shift ends, the rain has become a storm. Thunder rolls low over Hartwell. The power flickers once, twice, then steadies. Mabel shoves a container of soup into my hands and tells me not to drown on the way home. Like that is a reasonable concern for the girl who once ran through northern forests on 4 paws beneath a white moon. I thank her. I always thank people who don't know what they are saving me from. Outside, the world smells washed clean. That is the worst part. Rain strips a town down to truth. Oil rises from asphalt. Dirt loosens. Metal sweats. The pine woods at the edge of Hartwell breathe wet and green and alive. And beneath it all, I stop under the diner awning. My heart does something stupid. Something young. Something that belongs to the girl I buried. For one impossible second, I think I smell cedar smoke. Not real. It can't be real. I close my eyes. The storm wind pushes at me, tugging loose curls from beneath my scarf, sliding cold fingers beneath the collar of my coat. The charm sewn into the lining burns against my ribs. Warning, warning, warning. My wolf slams against the suppressants with enough force to make me stagger. Mate. I grip the railing. No, I whisper, but rain eats the word. Across the street, the gas station sign buzzes in the downpour. A pickup rolls past. The traffic light swings over the empty intersection, red washing the wet road like spilled blood. Nothing moves that shouldn't. No dark-haired alpha stands beneath the street lamp. No golden eyes cut through the rain. Still, every instinct in me is awake now. Not dreaming. Not grieving. Awake. I force myself down the sidewalk toward the laundromat, one step at a time. My apartment waits above it with its cheap locks, salted threshold, hidden charms, and lonely little bed that still somehow takes up too much room. My hiding place, my punishment, my life. The soup burns warm through the container against my palm. My finger throbs under the towel. Behind me, the diner bell jingles as someone goes inside, and I nearly come apart before I realize it is only Mabel turning the sign to closed. Only Hartwell. Only rain. Only another night I have to survive, but my wolf is standing now, listening, hopeful in a way that makes me want to hurt her, because I know before I have proof. I know in the marrow. I know with the part of me that once belonged to him and never learned how to stop. Drake is closer than he has ever been, and this time, I don't think I can vanish fast enough. The first time the bond hurt him, I lied to myself. That is the truth I hate most. Not the ritual, not the running, not the years of swallowing suppressants until my tongue went numb and my wolf learned silence like punishment. The first sin was smaller. I saw Drake stumble after kissing me, and I chose not to understand. It had been summer then, the kind of heat that made the whole pack house smell like pine sap, sweat, and open windows. We were younger, stupid with each other, newly mated in every way that mattered except the final claiming, which Drake had refused to rush because he said I deserved time. As if my body hadn't already known him, as if my wolf hadn't rolled over in my chest the moment he looked at me and growled, low and ruined, mine. That day, he had backed me into the armory like we were not supposed to be at a council luncheon in 10 minutes. His mouth had been on my neck, my hands in his dark hair, and I remember laughing because he was trying to be quiet and failing. Alpha Evers, I'd whispered, breathless and smug. Are you hiding from your responsibilities? His teeth had grazed my skin. I am attending to one. Very mature. Never claimed to be. Then he kissed me. Not gently. Drake did very little gently back then except touch me when he thought I was breakable. That kiss had been all hunger and heat, the mate bond opening beneath it like a flower with teeth. I felt him everywhere. His want, his joy, his wolf pressing against mine, possessive, and bright. The bond flooded me until my knees weakened, and my hands tightened on him just to stay upright. Then Drake tore his mouth from mine and made a sound I had never heard from him before. Not pain exactly. Surprise. His hand hit the weapon rack. Steel rattled. His eyes flashed gold, then dimmed for one terrifying second as his weight sagged against me. Drake? He blinked hard and straightened too fast. I'm fine. I said I'm fine. Alpha voice. He had never used it on me before. It should have scared me. Instead, it made me angry enough to ignore the fear underneath. You don't get to growl at me because your pride is embarrassed. His mouth twitched like he wanted to smile. My pride is wounded daily by loving you. Good. He kissed my forehead then. Soft, apologetic, warm. And I believed him when he said it was nothing. Because I wanted it to be nothing. Because the alternative was impossible. The second time, he went to one knee. The third, he bled from the nose. After that, I stopped counting in numbers and started counting in what I could survive pretending not to see. A tremor in his hand after our fingers laced too long beneath the count table. His breath catching when my wolf brushed his through the bond. The gray exhaustion carving itself under his eyes after nights he slept wrapped around me, as if being close to me had emptied something out of him instead of giving him rest. Everyone said mate bonds made alphas stronger. Everyone said fate did not make mistakes. Everyone lied. The storm outside my apartment slams rain against the windows hard enough to shake me out of the memory. For a second, I am not in Hartwell. I am back there. I am standing in a healer's room that smelled like crushed herbs and candle smoke, my hands covered in Drake's blood because he had collapsed in front of half the pack after I touched his cheek. Just touched him. That was all. His wolf had reached for mine through the bond, desperate and joyous, and Drake's body had folded like the bones had been cut from him. I remember screaming his name until my throat tore. I remember Mason dragging me back, because my hands on Drake made the bond pull harder. I remember the healer, Sella, locking the door behind us, while Drake lay unconscious on the table. She was old enough to have stopped softening the truth for anyone. It is feeding on him, she said. I stared at her. No. The bond is wrong. No. Rachel. No. She slapped me. Not hard, not cruel. Enough. My hand flew to my cheek. My brown skin burned hot under my palm. The shock snapped my eyes to hers. Sella looked at me like she was sorry and did not have time for it. Listen to me. If you complete the bond, he will die. The room tilted. I grabbed the edge of the table beside Drake's hip. He looked asleep. That was the worst part. His lashes dark against skin drained of warmth. Mouth parted around shallow breaths. Body too still for a man who had always seemed carved from storm and command. No, I said again, but softer now. Useless. A child's word. Sella moved to the shelves and started pulling jars down with shaking hands. I have seen cursed bindings, blood debts disguised as mate marks, witch-twisted lines. But this, she looked back at me, this is older. Fix it. Her silence was the answer. I laughed once. Ugly. No, don't do that. Don't look at me like that. You fix broken things. You're a healer. I can slow it. For how long? Days, weeks if he stays away from you. My wolf went mad inside me. Mate, hurt, help him, go to him. I pressed both hands to my stomach like I could hold her down by force. Sella's voice gentled, which only made it worse. The stronger the emotional pull, the harder it drains him. His alpha power is trying to sustain the bond alone. Why? I don't know. Then find out. We tried. That was when I understood. They had been testing in secret, watching him, watching me, waiting for proof before telling us the truth. Drake had known something was wrong, but not this. Not the shape of it. Not the ending. He would never have stayed away from me if he knew. That was the terrible comfort of him. Drake would have loved me right into the grave, and called it a choice. so I made one first. The ritual was not in any healer's book. I found it in the locked archive beneath the old chapel, written on vellum that smelled like dust and old bone. A severing rite, forbidden, meant for bonds made by force, not fate, but fate had become a blade. I waited until the next storm. Coward, maybe. Or maybe I needed the sky loud enough to hide what I was about to do. Drake found me before I reached the clearing. Of course he did. Even half dead, he knew the shape of my absence. Rain poured through the trees. Mud sucked at my boots. The moon was a white smear behind black clouds, and I had the ritual knife hidden in my sleeve like a betrayal. Rachel. His voice broke around my name. I stopped. I should have kept walking. I turned. He stood between the trees, soaked through, eyes burning gold and wild. He looked furious, terrified, alive, beautiful enough to ruin every reason I had. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Go back." "No." "Drake, no." The bond stretched between us, aching, hungry. Even at a distance, I felt it latch onto him. His breath hitched. One hand pressed briefly to his chest. I saw the pain. He tried to hide it. That was what made my decision final. "You can't follow me," I said. His expression changed. Something in him understood before I spoke. "Don't." Just that. Not an order. Not alpha command. A plea. I almost died right there. "I'm sorry." He crossed the distance so fast I barely saw him move. His hands caught my arms. Not rough. Never rough with me. But desperate. "What did they tell you?" I shook my head. "Rachel, what did they tell you?" "That loving me is killing you." His jaw clenched. "Then we find another way." "There isn't one." "There is always another way. You're dying. Then let me." I slapped him then, hard enough that his face turned with it. The sound cracked through the rain. His eyes came back to mine, shocked. Not angry. Never angry enough to save me. "Don't you dare," I whispered. "Don't you dare make me stand here and listen to you call dying for me romantic." His hands loosened. I stepped back before I could collapse against him. "The bond has to break." "No." "If it doesn't, you die." "If it does, what happens to you?" I said nothing. His face went still. "Rachel." The ritual knife slid into my hand. He stared at it like it had appeared inside his own ribs. "No," he said. The first cut went across my palm. The bond screamed. Not a sound anyone else could hear. A tearing inside the soul. My wolf howled so violently I thought my bones would split. Drake staggered, teeth bared, reaching for me. I spoke the words before he could stop me. Ancient syllables. Bitter as blood. Wrong in my mouth. The clearing answered. Wind slammed through the trees. The sage bundle at my feet caught blue fire, though the rain should have drowned it. Smoke rose thick and choking. Drake screamed my name. That is the part I remember whole. Not the pain. Not falling. Not Sella's hands dragging him back from a circle he could not cross. His voice. "Rachel. Rachel. Rachel." Like if he said it enough times, I would choose him over his life. I wanted to. God help me. I wanted to. The final word of the rite required a truth. Not love. Truth. So I gave the cruelest one I could survive. I release you. The bond snapped. And the world went silent. I wake on my bathroom floor with my cheek against the cold tile and my nails broken from clawing at nothing. The storm is still outside. Hartwell is still here. Drake is still somewhere too close. My skin looks ashen around my mouth in the mirror when I force myself up. My hand shakes as I unwrap the old scarf from my hair and touch the place over my heart where the bond used to answer. Nothing. Then a flicker. So faint I almost convinced myself I imagined it. I close my eyes. "Please," I whisper to no one. The charm sewn into my coat begins to smoke in the hallway.
The lead dies under a gas station awning at 11:43 p.m. Not with violence, not with blood. Just one tired human clerk pointing at a smudged security photo and saying, "Yeah, I mean, could have been her. Hard to tell. Women change their hair all the time." Could have been. I stare at him through the rain-streaked glass until his heartbeat trips. Mason steps in before my silence becomes something with teeth. "Thank you for your time." The clerk nods too fast and disappears behind the counter, pretending to straighten cigarette cartons. Another dead trail. Another woman who was not Rachel. Outside, the storm has turned the pavement black and shining. The gas station lights flicker overhead, buzzing like trapped insects. Beyond the pumps, Hartwell crouches in the rain, small and forgettable. All wet sidewalks, closed storefronts, and tired street lamps bleeding yellow through the downpour. A town made for disappearing. I should have known. Callum stands near the SUVs, shoulders hunched against the weather. He still avoids looking directly at me since the council room. The bruises on his throat are gone, but wolves remember pressure better than skin does. "The car on the footage headed east," he says carefully. "If we leave now, we can catch the highway cameras before morning." "No." The word comes out flat. Mason looks at me. "Alpha." I do not answer. I am tired in a way sleep cannot touch. Tired of human witnesses who confuse every dark-haired woman for the dead girl I refuse to bury. Tired of witches selling me smoke and riddles. Tired of maps. Tired of hope arriving dressed as punishment. My wolf has been silent since dusk. That is worse than pacing. Silent means he is listening. I step away from the awning and into the rain. It hits my face cold and hard, runs beneath the collar of my shirt, soaks through fabric already damp from hours of searching. The town smells like all human towns in storms. Gasoline, wet rubber, fry grease from somewhere closed for the night. Old brick. Car exhaust. Beer spilled near the curb. The sour fear of the clerk inside who does not know why he is afraid, only that his body has recognized a predator behind glass. Nothing useful. Nothing true. I turn toward the SUV. Then the wind shifts. Not much. Only a thin breath moving between the pumps, sliding across the wet road and lifting the edge of the storm. It touches my face. My entire body locks. Vanilla. For 1 second I stop existing. Smoke. My hand shoots out and catches the side of the nearest pump before my knees can give. Metal groans beneath my fingers. Rainwater. My wolf rises so violently that my vision fractures gold. Wild lavender. No. Not no. Please. I drag in another breath, and the world ends. Rachel. Not a memory, not a dream. Not grief wearing her perfume just to watch me bleed. Her. My claws punch through my fingertips where I grip the pump. Pain flashes bright and useless. I barely feel it. The scent is faint, nearly ruined by rain and something bitter underneath. Suppressants, charms, old magic designed to bury what she is. Designed to bury her from me. But my wolf knows. He knows before my mind can survive it. Mate. The word tears through me with enough force to hollow out my chest. I make a sound I do not recognize. Mason is suddenly beside me. Drake. Wrong voice, wrong hands reaching. I snarl before he touches me. Every wolf in the lot freezes. For years they have seen me angry, brutal, controlled. They have watched me break rogues, silence elders, stare down war threats without blinking. They have never seen this. They have never seen their alpha split open by a breath of rain. Mason's eyes sharpen. What is it? I try to speak. My throat will not work. The scent is already thinning, pulled apart by water and wind. Panic hits so hard I almost shift in the middle of the street. No, 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 no. I force air into my lungs and turn my head slowly, following the thread before it vanishes. There, across the road, past the dead traffic lights swinging over the intersection, toward the diner with the dark windows and the red sign gone black for the night. Mason follows my stare. He goes still. "Alpha," he says softly. I look at him. He sees it then. Whatever is left of my face, whatever the scent has done to me. His voice drops. Is it her? The rain beats against the pumps. Callum stops breathing. I say her name, and it feels like dragging a blade out of my own ribs. Rachel. No one moves. Good. If they had said anything, comfort, doubt, warning, I might have killed them for wasting the moment. Then I ran. Not fully shifted, not here, not in a human town with cameras and streetlights and sleepy houses lined behind thin curtains. But not human either. My bones stretch against control. My feet strike the wet pavement too fast, splashing through puddles, rain blurring the edges of the world. The scent flickers in and out ahead of me, broken by the storm, warped by whatever magic she has wrapped around herself. But it is there. God help me. It is there. Rachel walked this street. Rachel stood under this rain. Rachel breathed this air while I was somewhere losing my mind over shadows. The thought nearly takes me down. I follow her scent past the gas station, across the empty road, along a row of closed shops with peeling signs and darkened displays. It clings briefly to the iron railing outside a laundromat. My hand closes over the metal before I can stop myself. Warm. No, not warm, only imagined. I snatch my hand back like the lie burned me. Mason and the others follow at a distance, smart, afraid, useless. The scent doubles back in the storm, smears across puddles, catches beneath an awning, then sharpens suddenly near the diner. Mabel's Diner. The sign is old, the windows dark. Inside I can make out cracked red booths, a long counter, napkin dispensers lined like small silver headstones. A pie case, stools, a coffee machine left clean and empty for morning, an ordinary place. A human place. My mate's scent is on the door. I stop so hard my boots skid against the wet sidewalk. My hand lifts. I do not touch the glass. If I touch it, I might break it. If I break it, I might not stop. Her scent is stronger here, layered into the doorway, the threshold, the narrow strip of shelter where someone had paused beneath the awning. Vanilla beneath grease, smoke beneath old coffee, wild lavender fighting through bleach and rain. Rachel, alive. My vision blurs. I blink once, furious with my own body. The rain helps. It hides what no alpha should show. Mason comes up behind me but says nothing. Inside me, my wolf is no longer silent. He's tearing himself apart, clawing, lunging, howling with a grief that has found its target and cannot reach her. Mate, mate, mate. I press my fist against my sternum because the space where the bond used to be is burning. Not open, not whole, something else. A scar remembering the knife. The pain is so clean it becomes holy. She was here, I say. Mason's voice is careful. Recently. I breathe again. The suppression magic cuts at my nose, sour and metallic. But underneath it, yes. Recent. Hours. Maybe less before the storm beat it thin. Yes. Callum whispers behind us. How did we miss her? I turn my head. He steps back. Good. Because the answer is standing all around us. Charms, suppressants, rain, human crowds, years of deliberate silence. Rachel did not vanish. She hid. From me. The relief in my chest twists until it becomes something darker. She is alive. She is close. She left me in a grave with no body and built herself a life 10 feet from bad coffee and pie. My hand finally touches the diner door. The lock is simple, insultingly simple. I could tear it free with 2 fingers. Mason reads the thought before I act. Drake. I bare my teeth at the glass. Don't, he says, quieter now. Not like this. Not in front of cameras. Not with humans sleeping above these shops. I don't care. Yes, you do. I hate that he is right. Rachel is somewhere in this town. If I rip Hartwell open in the middle of the night, she will feel it. She will run. And this time, knowing she is alive, knowing she is afraid enough to bury herself under magic, I cannot risk giving her even 1 more hour's advantage. So I stand there, in the rain, outside the diner that smells like my dead heart beating again. We search the street until after midnight becomes something later. Mason sends wolves quietly through alleys and side roads. No doors forced, no witnesses awakened, no mistakes. They find hints and fragments, a trace near the laundromat stairs, then nothing. A whisper of lavender at the corner, then bleach, a charm-burned emptiness that makes my wolf snarl. She has covered herself well, too well. My mate has been surviving like prey. The thought makes something old and vicious in me ache to kill every world that taught her how. At last, Mason returns to the diner front. We wait for morning. I do not look at him. My eyes stay on the dark windows. In the reflection, I see myself standing soaked beneath the flickering sign. Eyes gold. Face carved empty by years that suddenly have somewhere to go. Somewhere inside this town, Rachel Underwood is breathing. Maybe sleeping. Maybe lying awake with her hand over her chest because some part of her felt me cross the line into Hartwell. Good. Let her feel me. Let her know the grave she left me in has opened. By morning this diner will unlock. Humans will come for coffee, and I will be waiting. Morning comes without mercy. It drags itself over Hartwell in a dirty grey wash, rain thinning to mist, streetlights clicking off one by one like the town is pretending last night never happened. I have not moved. Across the street, Mabel's diner sits with its lights still dead, and its windows fogged from the cold. The red booths are shadows inside. The counter gleams faintly whenever headlights pass. The sign in the window still says, "Closed." Mason stands beside the SUV behind me, silent because he has learned silence is sometimes the only reason men survive me. "You should change," he says at last. I look down. My shirt is soaked through. Mud stains the cuffs of my jeans. Dried blood marks my fingers, where my claws split the skin at the gas station. I look exactly like what I am, something that has waited too long outside a grave. No. You walk in like that, she'll run. The word hits clean. She, not if, not maybe. She. I close my eyes. Rachel is inside this town. Somewhere within these wet streets and brick walls, she woke this morning. Maybe she looked out at the rain. Maybe she felt me under her skin the way I felt her in the air. Maybe she is already packing. My wolf lunges at the thought. I force him back by inches. If she runs now, I will follow. If she hides again, I will tear apart every charm, every town, every lie between us. But I do not say that aloud. Mason already knows. The diner lights snap on at 5:58. My heart stops. An older woman in a raincoat unlocks the front door, shoulders hunched, cigarette tucked behind one ear, though it is too wet to light. She disappears inside. A minute later, the coffee machine glows. The neon sign blinks, flickers, then burns red. Open. I wait. Not because I am patient, because if I walk in before there are witnesses, I do not know what I will become. Humans arrive in pieces. A man in work boots, 2 women in scrubs, an old couple with an umbrella turned inside out, a trucker smelling of diesel and sleep. The diner wakes around them, chairs scraping, muffled voices, the bell over the door ringing again and again. Then the door opens from the back. The scent hits me before I see her. Vanilla, smoke, rainwater, wild lavender buried under bitter magic. My hand closes around the edge of the SUV door. Metal bends. Rachel Underwood steps behind the counter. Alive. The word is too small. It does not survive what it means. She is there in black jeans, a dark green diner shirt tied at the waist, an apron already stained with coffee near the pocket. Her coiled hair is twisted up beneath a silk scarf the color of deep plum, a few curls loose at her temples. Her warm brown skin looks rich beneath the ugly fluorescent lights, her mouth soft and full and unsmiling, until a customer says something that earns him a sharp little grin. My lungs fail. For years, memory has given her to me in pieces. Her voice breaking, her hands slipping, her blood in the rain, the smell of burning sage. But memory is a cruel butcher. It kept fragments and stole the whole. Now the whole stands 10 yards away, pouring coffee for strangers. Older, yes. Not by much. Not enough for the years to have been kind. Survival has changed her. It has set caution in her shoulders and taught her eyes to move before her body does. It has taught her to stand with an exit behind her. It has made her beautiful, in a way that hurts to look at, because beauty should not have to learn defense. My wolf howls. Mate. I almost shift in the street. Mason's hand lifts, then drops before touching me. Smart. Drake. I go in alone. Alpha. I turn my head. Whatever he sees makes him step back. Alone, I say. The bell over the diner door rings when I enter. Every human glance flicks up, then away. They smell danger even if they have no name for it. Conversation dips, stutters, resumes too carefully. Rachel is reaching for a stack of plates when she hears the bell. She looks up. Our eyes meet. The world narrows to the width of a counter. She does not gasp. She does not drop the plates. She does not look at me like a woman seeing a dead thing crawl out of the ground. Her face simply goes still. That is how I know. Not shock enough, not confusion enough. She knew this day would come. The plates settle on the counter with a soft ceramic click. Her fingers remain on them for half a second too long. Then Rachel smiles, a stranger's smile, bright, easy, empty. It guts me more cleanly than any scream could have. Morning, she says. Her voice is the same. No, not the same. Lower now, roughened by years and secrets. But it strikes something inside me that has been waiting in the dark with its teeth bared. I stand there too long. A human at the nearest booth clears his throat. Rachel tilts her head like I'm only a customer blocking the door. Sit anywhere you like. I want to say her name. I want to cross the room, catch her face in my hands, and make the years answer for themselves. Instead, I walk to the counter. Each step is a negotiation with violence. Not toward her, never toward her. Toward the room for existing while she was gone. Toward the coffee cups, the pie case, the old man reading a paper beside me as if the center of my ruined life is not standing 3 feet away, pretending I am no one. I sit because if I stand too close, I do not trust my control. Rachel takes a mug from beneath the counter. Her hands are steady. Her pulse is not. I hear it, fast, hard, buried beneath diner noise and old coffee. But there. Her breath catches on the 3rd inhale, corrects on the 4th. She has practiced this. She has practiced surviving me. That thought should make me softer. It does not. It makes the scar in my chest burn. Coffee, she asks. One word, human, casual, insulting. My eyes drop to the pot in her hand, then to her wrist. No mark, no mating scar, nothing where my teeth should have written forever into her skin. The absence is a living thing. Black, I say. Her fingers tighten around the handle. Only once. Only enough for me to see. Then she pours. No cream set beside it. No sugar offered. She knows. The mug fills between us, dark and steaming. She slides it toward me without touching my hand. Careful girl. Cruel girl. My girl. No, not mine. Not anymore. The thought brings my wolf up, snarling. Rachel turns away too fast, grabbing a rag, wiping a spot on the counter that is already clean. What can I get you? She asks. I do not look at the menu. You. The rag stills. The diner keeps breathing around us. Forks scrape plates. Mabel argues with someone near the register. Rain taps at the windows in small, nervous fingers. Rachel's smile returns slowly. This one has teeth. Pretty sure that's not on the menu. A laugh rises from the old man beside me. He thinks he understands the shape of this. He thinks I am flirting, and she is good at putting men in their place. He has no idea the floor is cracking open beneath his boots. I lean forward. Rachel does not lean back. Pride, fear, or stubbornness. Maybe all three. Rachel, I say it quietly. So quietly no human beyond the counter should care. She does not blink, but her wolf hears me. I know because for one impossible second the bitter suppressants cannot hide the truth. Something wild moves beneath her skin. Her scent sharpens, lavender cutting through the coffee and grease like a blade. Then it is gone, buried, locked away. She wipes the counter once more. My name's Ray, she says. No. The sound inside my chest is not spoken, but she hears enough of it. Her eyes flick to mine. Dark, expressive eyes. The same eyes that once looked up at me in the rain and broke the world with, "Let me go." I grip the mug before I can reach for her. The ceramic cracks under my fingers. Coffee leaks hot over my knuckles. Rachel sees. Her mouth parts before she stops it. Concern. There, gone almost before it lives. But I see it. I see everything now. The fear under her sarcasm. The exhaustion tucked around her eyes. The way she stands angled toward the back door. The charm sewn into the hem of her apron, humming wrong against my senses. The faint tremor in her left hand when she tucks the rag into her pocket. She is not dead. She is not lost. She is hiding in front of me. You've got the wrong girl, she says. The lie lands between us like a body. For 1 second I cannot breathe through the fury. Not because she denies me. Because she thinks denial can undo what I have survived. I look at her. Really look. At the woman I mourned without burying. Hunted without finding. Hated because loving her with nowhere to put it became madness. Loved because even hate could not reach the root. No, I say. Her heartbeat kicks. Mabel calls from the other end of the counter. Ray, table 6 needs their eggs before they start a revolution. Rachel does not look away from me. Neither do I. The whole diner seems to shrink around the two of us. I set the cracked mug down with care I do not feel. Coffee spreads across the counter like dark blood. I don't, I say.
The coffee keeps spreading. It slips from the cracked mug and crawls across the counter, black and steaming, heading straight for Drake Evers' hand. He does not move. Of course he does not. The man could be burning alive and make stubbornness look like a crown. No, he says, his eyes locked on mine. I don't. For one stupid second, my fingers forget how to be fingers. The diner notices. Humans are good at pretending they do not see things. That is how they survive most truths. But Earl's newspaper lowers half an inch. Table 6 stops complaining about their eggs. Mabel pauses near the pass with a plate in each hand, and her eyes narrowed like she is deciding whether to grab a shotgun or a spatula. My name here is Ray. It has been Ray long enough that sometimes I answer without bleeding. But Drake said Rachel, and something under my skin clawed awake. Old, hungry, ruined. I reach for a towel. Then you've got a cracked mug, I say, because sarcasm is cheaper than collapse. And terrible timing. His gaze drops to my hand. I hate that he notices the tremor before I do. I press the towel into the spilled coffee, wiping hard enough that hot liquid soaks through to my palm. The burn barely registers. Nothing in this room is allowed to hurt more than him being in it. Drake's knuckles are wet with coffee. Red marks bloom over his skin and fade almost immediately. Shifter healing. Alpha blood. My body remembers too much. You burned yourself, I say before I can stop it. His eyes lift. There. A crack. Not in him. In me. His voice lowers. You care? I throw the ruined towel into the sink behind me. I care about lawsuits. The corner of his mouth does not move, but something terrible passes through his eyes, a memory of almost smiles. A ghost of the man who used to laugh into my neck when I tried to sound mean and failed. Mabel saves me by shouting, Ray, if table 6 doesn't get those eggs, I'm feeding them to you. I heard you, I call back. My voice sounds normal. That feels obscene. The rest of the shift becomes a war I fight in pieces. Pour coffee, smile, lie, refill water. Do not look at him. Fail. Drake stays at the counter. He does not order food. He barely drinks the coffee after I replace the broken mug. He sits with his shoulders too broad for the little vinyl stool, dark hair still damp from rain, golden eyes following me with a steadiness that strips skin from bone. The diner shifts around him like an animal around a fire. Customers lower their voices when they pass him. Mabel watches from the register. Earl leaves 10 minutes earlier than usual and forgets his paper. Even the cook stops singing off-key in the back. Drake does nothing. That is the problem. He does not threaten, does not growl, does not demand answers in front of humans. He just looks at me like he has spent years buried alive, and I am the person holding the shovel. Every time I pass within 5 feet of him, the charm sewn into my apron heats against my hip. The suppressants sour in my stomach. My wolf, drugged and grieving, lifts her head in the dark and whines. Mate, no. I slam a cup down too hard. Coffee splashes over the rim. Mabel appears beside me, pretending to check the pie case. You sick, honey? She asks under her breath. You look ashen around the mouth. Long night. Uh-huh. Her eyes cut toward Drake. That man bothering you? No. Do you know him? I wipe the counter again. It is already clean. No. Mabel makes a sound that says she has raised too many children and buried too many husbands to be impressed by bad lies. You want me to call somebody? I almost laugh. Who would she call? The police? The council? Fate? No, I say softer. I can handle it. Her expression gentles, which is worse. Girls always say that right before they can't. I look at Drake by accident. He is staring at Mabel now, face unreadable, but there is a warning in the stillness of him. Not at her. Never at an old human woman trying to protect me. At the idea that I might need protecting from him. I turn away first. By the time my shift ends, my bones feel hollow. The lunch rush thins into rain-soaked quiet. Mabel lets me clock out early because she thinks I am sick, and because she is not stupid enough to believe the stranger at the counter came for pancakes. I untie my apron with careful fingers. Drake watches. I hang it on the hook. He watches. I pull on my coat, the one with charms stitched deep into the lining. One of them burned out during the storm last night, leaving a bitter black spot near the hem. I had sewn in another before dawn with shaking hands and a needle I kept dropping. It will not be enough. Nothing is ever enough when Drake is close. I do not leave through the front. That would be too obvious. I leave through the back, which is also obvious, but at least it lets me pretend I'm choosing. The alley smells like wet brick, old grease, and rain mist. The sky hangs low between the buildings, heavy and gray. Water drips from the fire escape in slow metallic taps. I make it 3 steps. You always did favor exits over explanations. I stop. Drake stands near the mouth of the alley, half in shadow, half in rain. He fills the space like a locked door. Dark coat, wet hair, eyes too bright to belong in a human town. He should look out of place here. He does. So did I before I learned how to shrink. I lift my chin. This is usually the part where I call the police. Call them. They get jumpy around men lurking in alleys. I'm not lurking. No, of course not. I glance at the dumpster beside him. You're brooding aggressively near trash cans. Once that would have made him laugh. Today it only hurts us both. He takes one step forward. I take one back. His jaw tightens, but he stops immediately. He does not touch me. That almost breaks me worse than if he had. You remember me, he says. No. The lie comes too quickly. His eyes narrow. You remembered how I take my coffee. Lots of men drink it black. You didn't offer cream or sugar. You look like a man who punishes himself with beverages. Rachel. My back hits brick. The name moves through me like teeth. Ray, I say. His voice drops. Do not do that. Do what? Stand in front of me and pretend I don't know the sound of your heartbeat. I almost cannot breathe. Because he does know it. Even through suppressants. Even through years. Even after I broke the bond badly enough to bury my scent and carve myself out of his life. Some things refuse to die clean. Drake steps closer, slow enough that I could move. I do not. Rain beads in his hair and slides down the hard line of his face. He looks different. Colder. Sharper. Grief has not made him less beautiful. It has made him harder to survive. Why did you leave? He asks. The alley tilts. There are so many answers. Because the bond was eating you alive. Because your hands shook after you touched me. Because I watched blood spill from your nose and still wanted you to kiss me. Because the healer said love would finish what fate started. Because I was 24 and terrified and selfish enough to choose your life over your consent. Because if I told you the truth, you would have died proving me wrong. I swallow all of them. They scrape going down. I didn't leave you, I say. I don't know you. Lie. Stop saying that. Then stop lying. The command in his voice brushes against old instincts. My wolf presses forward, eager and broken, ready to obey a man I had to turn into a stranger. I dig my nails into my palms. Pain helps. Drake's gaze flicks down, noticing. Of course he notices. Why? He asks again, and this time his voice is not alpha. It is worse. It is wounded. I make myself look him in the eye. Because I wanted to. The words land. I see them hit. Drake flinches. Not much. Just a small fracture through all that brutal control. But I know him. I know the places he hides pain, and the places he cannot. For 1 second, he looks exactly like the man in the rain years ago, staring at the knife in my hand like it had appeared inside his ribs. My throat closes. Almost. Almost, I tell him. Almost, I ruin everything. Instead, I step around him. He lets me. Maybe because touching me would hurt him. Maybe because my lie already did. I do not run. Running is confession. I walk out of the alley with my spine straight and my heart breaking so loudly, I am sure he can hear every piece of it fall.
I let her walk away. That is the first lie I tell myself. I do not stop her. I do not grab her, do not drag the truth out of her mouth, do not put my body between her and the wet street like instinct demands. But I follow. Because there is a difference between letting someone leave and losing them again. Rachel moves through Hartwell like a woman who has practiced vanishing in plain sight. Head down, shoulders squared, pace steady but not rushed. She does not look back once. She knows I am there. Of course she knows. Even buried beneath suppressants and charms, even after years of cutting herself into something smaller, her wolf knows mine. The bond may be broken, ruined, whatever she did to it. but some wounds remember the shape of the blade. I keep distance, barely. The town is waking into the afternoon beneath a low grey sky. Cars hiss along wet pavement. A woman in a yellow coat drags a child across the crosswalk. Somewhere, a dog barks and then whines when it scents me. Rachel turns onto a narrower street behind the diner, passing shuttered storefronts and brick buildings with rusted fire escapes. She stops once outside a pharmacy window, pretending to check her reflection. Her eyes find mine in the glass. For half a second, neither of us moves. Then she keeps walking. My wolf lunges. I force him down so hard, pain cracks along my spine. Mason's voice comes through the earpiece I forgot I was wearing. Alpha, do you want us to circle ahead? No. She may run. She will run faster if she sees you. A pause, then carefully. And if she sees only you? My jaw tightens. She already has. I pull the earpiece out before he can say anything else. Rachel crosses the street and disappears through the side entrance of an old laundromat. The sign above the main doors flickers blue-white. Wash and fold. Half the letters are dead. Inside, machines churn behind fogged glass, spinning other people's clothes in lazy circles. Above it, 2 narrow floors of apartments sit stacked like afterthoughts. No guards. No wards strong enough to stop anything with teeth. No pack. No one at the door to ask who approaches. The realization hits worse than it should. For years I imagined every horror. Rogues, witches, enemies wearing her skin. A grave somewhere without a stone. I never imagined this. Rachel Underwood, my mate, living above a laundromat with a broken lock and human neighbors who would not know a wolf from a nightmare until it was already inside. Rage opens in me, quiet and white-hot. Not at her, at the world, at myself. At every year she spent here unprotected while I ruled a pack that would have died for her if she had only come home. I enter through the side door. The stairwell smells like bleach, damp concrete, old detergent, and beneath all of it, her. Fainter now, choked by magic, but hers. The first flight is narrow, the walls painted a tired beige, scuffed by shoes and careless furniture. A single bulb buzzes overhead. Somewhere below, washers thump and groan. Rachel is waiting on the landing. Not fleeing, waiting. That alone nearly undoes me. Her coat is still damp from the mist. Dark curls escaping the scarf tied around her head. Her arms are folded tight over her chest, chin lifted, eyes blazing. There she is. Not the liar behind the counter, not the ghost from my dreams. Rachel, angry enough to be real. You followed me? She snaps. Yes. Her laugh is sharp and humorless. At least pretend to be ashamed. I am past pretending. That's unfortunate because stalking works better with shame. You left through the back door. I left work. You ran. I walked. You wanted me to follow. The words are out before I decide to say them. Her eyes flash. You think everything I do is about you? No. I step onto the landing. I think everything you do is about leaving me. The blow lands. I see it before she hides it. Her mouth tightens. Her hand curls once at her side, then opens. Get out, she says. No. This is my home. The word scrapes through me. Home. This narrow stairwell, this rotting building, this human town where she has to sew charms into her clothes and lie about her name. No, I say. This is where you hid. Her expression hardens. You don't get to decide what my life is. You built it out of a lie. I survived. The word stops me, because she says it like accusation, like surviving was all she had left after me. My anger stumbles, and she sees that too. Rachel has always known where to put the knife. The only difference now is that she pretends not to care where it goes in. You need to leave, she says quieter. I searched for you. Her face closes. No, she says. You searched for who you wanted me to be. I go still. What the hell does that mean? It means you're standing here looking at me like I'm something that belongs to you. My wolf snarls so violently, my teeth ache. I step closer before I can stop myself. Rachel's back brushes the wall, but she does not shrink. She never did. Not from me. Not when we were young and stupid enough to think fate was a blessing. Not now, when fear lives under her skin like a second pulse. You were my mate, I say. Her breath catches. Were. The word is poison. Exactly, she says. Were. My chest burns. Do not say that. It's true. Nothing about this is true. Your name isn't true. Your scent isn't true. Your coffee smile isn't true. You stand there and lie with my name still shaking in your blood. Her eyes shine. Not enough to fall, not yet. You don't know anything about my blood. I know your heartbeat. You know memory. I know you. No, she says, and this time her voice breaks around the edge. You knew a girl who should have stayed gone. Something inside me snaps. Not control, worse. Restraint. You don't get to make yourself a corpse and then act offended when I refuse to mourn properly. Her flinch is small. I hate myself for noticing. I hate her for making me say it. I did what I had to do, she says. You vanished. I left. You erased yourself. I protected myself. From me. The stairwell goes silent except for the hum of the bulb and the heavy churn of machines below. Rachel looks away first. There is the wound. I move closer, voice dropping. Were you afraid of me? Her eyes whip back to mine. I was afraid of what you would do. For you. For us. The word hits the air wrong. Us. A grave opening. I almost reached for her then, not to hold, not to restrain, just to touch the proof of her, to know she is warm, solid, alive. I keep my hands at my sides. Rachel sees the effort. It makes her angrier. You need help, she says. I laugh once. It is a broken sound. That's rich. You think hunting me across the country is love. I think abandoning your mate and hiding behind diner coffee is cowardice. The second the word leaves my mouth, I know. Rachel goes utterly still. Not cold, wounded. Then her face empties in a way that scares me more than rage ever could. Move, she says. No. Drake. My name in her mouth almost takes me to my knees. She realizes it too late. I see the regret flash across her face. I breathe once, hard. Say it again. Move. She steps forward, trying to push past me toward the stairs. I catch her wrist, reflex, instinct, a mistake made of hunger and grief. The second my skin closes around hers, the world detonates. The bond sparks, not whole, not healed, not even alive the way it used to be. A fracture of it opens between us, thin and bright and merciless. Pain explodes through my chest. I choke, one hand slamming against the wall to stay upright. The stairwell vanishes. For one suspended second there is only Rachel. Her fear, her grief, her love no. It hits me like memory and lightning. The old pull, the soul-deep recognition, the brutal intimacy of being known beneath language, beneath flesh, beneath every lie she has layered between us. Rachel gasps like I have stabbed her. Her fingers twist under mine, not pulling away at first but clinging, shocked by the same terrible sweetness. Mate. My wolf howls. Blood slips hot from my nose. Rachel sees it. Everything in her face changes, not guilt, terror. She yanks free so hard her shoulder hits the wall. I let go immediately, hands lifting like surrender, like apology, like I can undo the second my body remembered hers. The pain remains, clawing through my ribs. Rachel stares at the blood on my mouth, her dark eyes wide, breath coming too fast. "No," she whispers. "It is not denial, it is memory." My knees nearly buckle. "What did you do?" I ask. Her throat works. She backs up one step, then another. "You need to stay away from me." "Rachel, no." Her voice shakes now, and that frightens me more than all her lies. "You don't understand." "Then make me." She looks at me like she wants to. Like the truth is right there behind her teeth, bloody and alive. Instead, she turns toward the apartment door at the top of the landing. Her hand trembles around the key. "Stay away," she says again. And this time it sounds less like rejection than a warning.
"Stay away," I say again. This time it does not sound like rejection. It sounds like begging. Drake hears the difference. Of course he does. He stands in the stairwell with one hand braced against the wall, blood dark beneath his nose, his golden eyes fixed on me like he is trying to decide whether to obey the warning or tear it apart with his teeth. I should run. Not into my apartment. Not into a box with one door and 3 locks and windows that stick when it rains. I should shove past him, hit the street, disappear before his men can circle the block. But his blood is still on his mouth, and the suppressants are wearing off. My wolf is awake now, pacing under my skin in frantic, broken circles. She does not care that touching him hurts. She only knows he is close. She only knows he is ours. Was ours. I fumble the key into the lock. Drake does not move. That almost makes me angrier. "Are you coming in or bleeding dramatically in the hallway?" His jaw tightens. "You just told me to stay away." "I also told you I'd call the police. We're clearly not making good choices today." For 1 second, something almost human crosses his face. Not amusement, the memory of it. I push the door open and step inside before I can change my mind. The apartment smells like rosemary charm smoke, laundry soap from downstairs, and the bitter herbs I boil every full moon to keep my wolf quiet. It is small enough that Drake fills it the moment he crosses the threshold. Too big, too alpha, too much like a life I buried standing inside the one I built from scraps. The charms above the door hiss when he passes beneath them. Drake looks up. Of course he notices. I shut the door quickly and slide the locks into place. 1, 2, 3. The chain catches with a thin metallic snap. His eyes follow every movement. "You expecting someone?" he asks. I move toward the sink. I work late shifts in a human town. Don't make it mystical. It is mystical. Then don't make it your business. It became my business when I found you living above a laundromat, with a door a child could kick in. I grab a clean dish towel and turn too fast. I've done fine without your inspection. His gaze drifts past me. The apartment betrays me because empty spaces always do. The single mug in the sink, the folded blanket on the thrift store couch, the narrow bed half hidden behind a curtain. No photographs, no keepsakes, no extra shoes by the door. Nothing that says anyone has ever been welcome here long enough to leave a mark. Drake sees it all. His expression does not change, but something in the room does. I hate him for noticing. I hate myself for wanting him to. "Sit down," I say. "No." "Fine. Bleed standing." He wipes his thumb beneath his nose and looks at the blood like it is a clue he should have found years ago. "What was that?" he asks. I soak the towel under cold water, wring it out, and pretend the question does not make my stomach turn. A mistake. Try again. The bond sparked. That's all. That's all? His voice is quiet. Dangerous quiet. I turn toward him. "You grabbed me." His eyes flash. "You were leaving." "I was walking away." "You're good at that." The words cut clean because they are true. I cross the room and hold out the towel. He does not take it. Stubborn, impossible man. Drake. My voice softens before I can stop it. His eyes drop to my mouth. The air changes. I should step back. Instead, I lift the towel myself and press it carefully beneath his nose, trying not to touch his skin more than necessary. It is a stupid thing to attempt. There is no safe amount of Drake. He goes utterly still. Not because he is afraid, because he is letting me decide the distance. That hurts worse than his anger. The damp cloth brushes his upper lip. His breath hits my fingers, warm and controlled. My wolf presses forward with a low, miserable sound inside me. Mate. No. I pull the towel away too quickly and shove it into his hand. Hold it there. He catches my wrist before I can retreat. Not hard, not like before, just enough to stop me. The bond does not spark this time, but it stirs, a sleeping thing turning beneath ash. Pain flickers behind my ribs, faint and sharp. Drake feels it too. I see it in the small tightening around his eyes. He releases me immediately. "What did you do to us?" he asks. I look away. "Rachel." "No. You don't get to say no." I laugh once, ugly and tired. "Funny. I've been saying it for years." His face hardens. I move to the kitchen shelf, grab the little brown bottle tucked behind the tea, and twist the cap off with fingers that only shake because the glass is slippery. That is the lie I choose. Drake watches me swallow 2 bitter drops under my tongue. "What is that?" "None of your business. Everything trying to erase you is my business. You lost that privilege. Did I?" The question is too soft. I hate soft. Soft gets under the door. Soft finds the places anger cannot reach. I set the bottle down with too much force. You can't walk in here after all these years and start giving orders. I didn't walk in. You let me in. That shuts my mouth. He looks around again, slowly this time, and the apartment shrinks under his stare. "You built a life without me," he says. I laugh because if I do not, I will sob. "No." The word slips out before I can stop it. "I built a hiding place." Silence. Thick. Alive. I feel the truth hanging between us, naked and stupid. I want to snatch back, dress it in sarcasm, bury it under another lie. Too late. Drake's eyes change, not soften. Something worse. He understands just enough to come closer. "Rachel." "Don't." He stops. I hate that too. I hate that he remembers my boundaries even when I have done nothing but break his heart. His hand lifts slowly. Slow enough that I can move. Slow enough that refusal would be easy. I do not move. His fingers brush a loose curl back from my face. One touch. Gentle. So gentle it ruins me. The years fold in on themselves. The laundromat hum disappears. The rain against the window disappears. The bitter taste of suppressants fades beneath the memory of his mouth near my temple. His laugh in my hair, his hands promising forever before forever turned hungry. "You used to leave these loose on purpose," he says, voice rough. "I did not." Liar? The word should hurt. It does. Just not the way I need it to. His hand lingers near my cheek without touching again. His eyes search mine, angry and grieving and starving. He is close enough now that I can see the faint red at the edge of one nostril where the blood has stopped. For now. My gaze drops to his mouth. A mistake. His breath changes. So does mine. The space between us tightens until it feels like a living wire. All he has to do is lean down. All I have to do is rise onto my toes. For one terrible, perfect second, I let myself imagine it. His mouth on mine. His hands careful at first, then desperate. The bond waking. The pain following. Drake on the floor years ago, ashen and shaking. Blood at his lips while the healer's voice broke over me. If it completes, it will take him. I turn my face away. Drake goes still. The room chills around the absence of what almost happened. I make myself breathe. I make myself look cruel. I don't want you anymore. The lie is sharp enough to protect him. Sharp enough to cut me open too. Drake's expression shuts down piece by piece until only the alpha remains. But when he speaks, his voice is low. Broken. Liar. And the worst part is, he does not leave.
I do not leave. Leaving is her talent, not mine. Rachel stands near the tiny kitchen counter with her chin lifted and her mouth set hard enough to make the lie believable to anyone who has never loved her. The damp towel hangs loose in my hand. My blood stains the white cloth in dark smears. I don't want you anymore. The words are still in the room, still cutting. I look at her, really look, and something ugly opens inside my chest. Not the bond. Not pain, rage. You must think I'm stupid, I say. Her eyes narrow. I think you're in my apartment after I told you to leave. You used to be better at lying. You used to listen. That almost makes me laugh. Almost. The charms above her door tremble as my control slips. Not enough to break them. Enough for the air to press heavy against the walls. The single lamp beside her couch flickers once, and Rachel's gaze darts toward it before coming back to me. There. Fear. Not of me. Of what being near me wakes. I know the difference now. I step back because I need the space. Because if I stand too close, my hands will remember the shape of her, and I would tear them off before I let them become a cage. You don't get to say that, I tell her. Her throat works. Say what? That I used to listen. Drake, no. My voice cuts through the small room, rough enough that her shoulders stiffen. You lost the right to talk to me like I failed you when you disappeared without a grave, without a goodbye, without one damn word. The color of her face deepens with heat. I said goodbye. In a ritual. She goes still. The room changes. I feel it before I understand it. A tiny fracture in her mask. A breath too sharp. A pulse too fast. My wolf rises. What? I ask quietly. Rachel turns away. Nothing. Look at me. No. Rachel. She flinches at her name like it still has teeth. Good. Let it bite. You left me with pieces, I say. Do you know that? Not even memories. Pieces, rain, sage, blood in my mouth. Your voice telling me to let you go. Her hand closes around the counter. I see the pressure of it in her knuckles. I searched for you, I say. I know. No. My anger hits hard enough that the lamp flickers again. You don't know. You don't know what that means. Her lips part, but nothing comes out. So I tell her, because she has stood here twice now and made herself a stranger. Because she looked me in the eye and said she wanted to leave. Because she called the ruin she built a hiding place. And I am starting to understand there is a truth under all of this, but not enough to forgive the grave she made me live in. I searched until my body gave out, I say. Until Mason had to drag me off trails that had been cold for weeks. Until I tore through rogue dens, witch markets, border towns. I paid for rumors in blood. I followed scents that weren't yours because I needed them to be. I dug through burned cabins and riverbanks and shallow graves with my own hands. Rachel's eyes shine. She blinks it back. I hate that I notice. I hate that part of me still wants to cross the room and make it stop. You think this is obsession? I ask. Fine, call it that. It kept me alive. Her voice is thin. I didn't ask you to look. No, you asked me to mourn. Her mouth closes. I take another step back because the truth is making me dangerous. Not to her, never to her, but to the fragile furniture, the walls, the whole human building that has no idea what kind of grief is standing inside it. Your mother mourned you, I say. Rachel's face changes. That one lands deep. Good, cruel, necessary. She stopped speaking your name in front of me after the first year because she thought it would kill me. But she kept your room the same. Did you know that? She kept your books stacked by the window, kept that ugly yellow sweater you loved folded on the chair. Rachel's breath breaks. I keep going because if I stop now, I will never start again. The pack mourned. They whispered when I walked past. They thought grief made me weak, then feared me when it didn't. Every meeting, every full moon, every border run, there was an empty place where you were supposed to be. Stop, she whispers. No. Her eyes snap to mine. I see anger there. Good. Anger is easier than the other thing. My wolf waited for you, I say, and my voice drops because this part is the wound I do not show anyone. Every full moon. Do you understand that? He listened. He stood at the edge of the territory and waited for a call that never came. Years, Rachel. Her hand lifts to her mouth, then drops before it touches. She is trying so hard not to break. It should satisfy me. It doesn't. Nothing does. You left me, I say. Her face turns ashen around the lips. I had to. The words are barely there, but I hear them. Everything in me goes still. What did you say? She shakes her head once. Nothing. I move before she can retreat, stopping close enough that she has to feel the heat of me, but not close enough to touch. Never touching. Not after the stairwell. Not after the blood. Say it again. No. You said you had to. Rachel looks at me like she hates me. Like she loves me. Like those two things have been eating each other alive for years. I said nothing. You're lying again. Then stop asking questions you don't want answered. A bitter laugh tears out of me. There is nothing I don't want answered. That's not true. It is. No, she says, voice rising now. You want a reason that makes sense to your pain. You want betrayal because betrayal is easy. Betrayal lets you hate me. I already hate you. The words come out before I can cage them. Rachel freezes. So do I. The silence after is worse than shouting. I drag a hand over my face and feel dried blood at my upper lip. I hate you, I say again, quieter. And I love you. And I have lived with both so long, I don't know where one ends anymore. Her eyes fill. This time she does not hide it fast enough. Drake, she says. My name sounds ruined in her mouth. I do not let it soften me, not yet. Tell me the truth. I can't. You can. You don't know what you're asking. I am asking why my mate cut herself out of my life and left me to rot in the hole she made. She recoils like I struck her. I don't move. I don't apologize. I need the truth more than I need mercy. Rachel presses a hand to her chest, right over the place where the Bond used to live. I chose it, she says. The room goes very quiet. My heart slows. What? Her voice trembles, but she keeps going. I chose to leave. I stare at her. I chose to break the bond. The floor seems to shift beneath me. No, I knew. Some part of me knew the second the bond sparked wrong in the stairwell. Knew when her scent came back distorted. Knew when she looked at my blood with terror instead of guilt. Still, hearing it is different. Hearing it puts the knife in hand. You, I say. She nods once, tears sliding now, silent and furious. Yes. You broke it. Yes. You erased yourself. Yes. From me. Her face twists. Yes. I look at her, and for one brutal second, I do not recognize the woman standing in front of me. Not my Rachel, not my mate. Someone capable of reaching into both of us and tearing out the only sacred thing fate ever gave me. My voice comes out barely human. Why? Rachel's control shatters. Not slowly, not gracefully, all at once. Because you were dying.
Because you were dying. The words leave my mouth and there is no taking them back. They hang between us, ugly and alive, filling every corner of my tiny apartment until even the charms above the door seem to go still. Drake does not move. For one terrible second he looks at me like I have spoken another language. Like betrayal made sense, but this does not. Like all these years he has built his hatred around one shape, and now I have put something worse in its place. Then his expression hardens. No, I laugh once. It comes out broken. That's what I said too. No, he says again, lower this time. Mate bonds don't do that. Ours did. His jaw flexes. You're lying. I wish I was. You left me because I was dying? His voice sharpens around the words. That is what you want me to believe? No, I say. That is what happened. He takes one step back from me. It hurts more than it should. I have spent years dreaming of him close enough to touch, and years fearing the exact same thing. Now he is standing in my apartment, blood dried beneath his nose, staring at me like I am the wound, and the knife both. Maybe I am. You would have known, he says. You did know. His eyes flash. Don't. You just didn't want to call it dying. The air thickens. I press my fingers against the edge of the counter because my knees have started to feel unreliable. Not weak, never weak. Just tired from holding up a lie this heavy for so long. At first it was small, I say. You'd get headaches after the bond opened, nosebleeds sometimes. You said it was stress, training, pack politics, anything except me. It wasn't you. It was the bond. That is not the same thing. My throat burns. It is the first mercy he has given me, and I hate him for it. It felt the same. Drake's nostrils flare, but he says nothing. So I keep going before courage leaves me. The night after the claiming moon, you passed out in the eastern woods. His face changes. Not enough for anyone else to notice. I notice. You remember, I whisper. I remember waking up with you crying over me. I wasn't crying. Liar. The word lands softer this time, and that almost undoes me. I look away. Your skin was cold. Your hands were shaking so hard I couldn't hold them still. I called Mara because I thought maybe someone poisoned you. Mara said it was exhaustion. To you. His eyes narrow. There it is. The first crack in his certainty. To me, I say. She said something was wrong with the bond. The room goes quiet except for the low mechanical thump of dryers turning beneath the floor. Someone laughs downstairs. A human sound. Normal. Impossible. Drake's voice comes slowly. Mara would have told me. No, she wouldn't. She was my healer. She was also old enough to know an alpha in love would rather die than step away from his mate. His silence answers for him. We were young then, young enough to believe devotion was a weapon sharp enough to cut through fate, young enough to think love could argue with death and win. I thought so too, for a while. She studied it for weeks, I say. She brought in 2 other healers, a witch from the Northern Coven, even one of your father's old council mystics, though she hated admitting she needed him. Drake's eyes stay fixed on mine. Hard, golden, hungry for truth and furious to be fed. They all said different things, I continue. Defective bond, blood curse, an old debt caught in the mating line, something twisted before either of us were born. No one could agree on why it happened. But, I swallow. But they all agreed on what it was doing. His face empties. I force myself to say it. Your alpha power was feeding it. Every time the bond strengthened, it tried to complete itself by pulling from you. Your body, your wolf, your life. No. Yes. No, Rachel. You collapsed when you kissed me. That was not... You dropped to your knees in your own bedroom after touching my mark. He goes silent. My hand moves before I can stop it, pressing to the place near my collarbone where his mark used to burn beneath my skin. There is no visible scar there anymore. The ritual took even that from me. But my body remembers. His gaze follows the movement and something savage passes through his expression. We told ourselves it was temporary, I say. I told myself Mara was wrong. I thought maybe if we were careful, if we didn't let the bond open too wide, if I loved you less loudly somehow. My voice breaks. I bite down on it. Drake looks wrecked. I keep talking because if I stop now, he will ask questions I cannot survive answering twice. Then you collapsed in the council hall. His eyes close. Just for a second. He remembers that too. You blamed the border fight, I say. Everyone did. But I hadn't touched you in 2 days because I was scared. Then you looked at me across the room, and the bond reached for me anyway. I can still see it. Drake standing beneath the council banners, proud and furious, blood drying on his knuckles from some dispute I no longer remember. His eyes finding mine. The bond flaring bright as sunrise. Then his body folding. The sound he made when he hit the stone. The way every wolf in that room went silent. Mara came to me that night, I whisper. She said if the bond fully completed, it would take you. Drake's eyes open. There is no softness in them now. Only pain sharpening into rage. And you believed her. I watched you almost die. And you decided for me. The words strike exactly where he aims them. I nod. Yes. His laugh is quiet and terrible. You decided my life was yours to manage. I decided your life mattered more than my happiness. That was not your choice. I know. No. He steps closer, and the apartment seems to shrink around him. Do not agree with me like that makes it better. It doesn't. You broke the bond. Yes. You cut yourself out of me. My eyes sting. Yes. You let me think you abandoned me. Yes. His voice turns rough. You let me hate you. I take that one without moving. Because he is right. Because I built myself into something he could survive losing. I thought hatred would keep you alive, I say. His face twists. And did it? I cannot answer. We both know the truth. He is alive. But he is standing in front of me with years of grief carved into him. And I did that too. The ritual nearly killed me, I say. Not for pity. Never for pity. It buried my scent, shattered the bond from my side, took pieces of your memory so your wolf couldn't follow what was left. His voice is barely human. You had someone touch my mind. I had them save it. You had them break it. Yes. The word tastes like blood. Drake turns away from me, one hand dragging over his mouth. The muscles in his back are rigid beneath his shirt. For a moment, I think he might put his fist through the wall. He does not. That restraint hurts too. Why didn't you tell me? He asks. Quiet now, worse than shouting. I answer honestly. Because you would have chosen me. His shoulders still. You don't know that. I laugh, and this time it is all grief. Drake. He turns back. There is blood in his eyes. Not real. Something older. Something wounded past language. You would have chosen me, I say again. You would have told me it was worth it. You would have touched me anyway. Kissed me anyway. Completed the bond just to prove fate could not have you. His silence says yes. My tears fall then. I let them. I loved you too much to let you love me like that. He looks at me as if those words are cruelty. Maybe they are. Do you expect me to thank you? He asks. No. To forgive you? No. To understand? My breath shakes. Not today. His mouth tightens. I step closer without meaning to. He notices. Of course he does. So I stop. I would do it again, I whisper. The truth destroys whatever mercy was left in the room. Drake's eyes burn gold. You don't get to make that choice again. My wolf lifts her head inside me. broken and aching. Drake, no. His voice is low, absolute. Alpha, mate, man ruined by the woman who saved him. You don't get to decide how much of me survives. The words hit harder than anger. I press a hand to my chest because something there is tearing open. He looks at that hand, at the place where the bond used to live. Then he says, quietly enough to frighten me, "If loving you kills me, then we find out why." My blood goes cold. No. But Drake is already reaching for the door, not leaving, locking it.
The lock turns under my hand. Rachel goes still behind me. Open it. I leave my fingers on the deadbolt because if I turn around too fast, anger will do the talking for me. You're not a prisoner. That's funny, considering you just locked my door. I locked it because your charms are failing, and your scent is bleeding through the hall. Silence. Then quieter. You can smell that. I turn. She stands by the counter with one hand pressed flat against the wood, her dark eyes too sharp to be called afraid and too wounded to be called calm. The apartment feels smaller than it did 5 minutes ago. Her hiding place, her cage, her punishment. Yes, I say. Her mouth tightens. Then leave. No. Drake, no. My voice drops before I can soften it. You can hate me. You can lie to me. You can tell me you don't want me until your throat bleeds. But I am not leaving you unprotected. Her laugh is short and bitter. There it is. What? The alpha. The mate. The word hits both of us. Rachel looks away first. Good. No, not good. Nothing about this is good. I'm not going back to your pack, she says. I already know that. I hear it in every locked window, every charm, every empty corner of this apartment. She did not vanish to be dragged home like something stolen. Still, my wolf hates the answer. You will if staying here gets you killed. Her eyes flash. Do not confuse saving me with owning me. The words cut close enough to draw blood. I never owned you. No, she says softly. You just think loving me gives you the right to decide what happens next. I almost laugh, because the cruelty of it is perfect. She made the first choice alone, broke the bond alone, buried herself alone, let me rot alone. And now she is accusing me of wanting control. Maybe I do. Maybe grief turns love into something with claws if it is starved long enough. I'm staying in town, I say. No. I'll keep distance. No. I won't touch you. Her lips part, but no sound comes out. That is the promise that hurts. Not because it is a lie, because it might be possible. I call Mason before she can argue again. He answers on the second ring. Alpha. Put 2 men on the North Road. No one enters town without my knowing, quietly. Rachel's stare burns into me. And Mason, I add, eyes on her. No one approaches Rachel unless I give the order. A pause, then carefully. Understood. I hung up. Rachel folds her arms. Are you done arranging my life? No. Her brows lift. I'm fixing your door in the morning. She looks like she wants to throw the little brown bottle at my head. Maybe I deserve it. Maybe I would let her. The compromise lasts 3 days. It does not work. I rent a room across from the laundromat and spend most nights watching her windows instead of sleeping. My wolf hates the distance. My body does too. Every hour I stay close enough to guard her but far enough not to wake. The bond feels like holding a blade by the edge. Rachel pretends not to notice. Rachel notices everything. On the first morning, I replace the lock on her apartment door while she stands behind me in a diner uniform and an expression like murder. You break it, you buy it, she asks. I didn't break it. You insulted it. It deserved it. The corner of her mouth twitches before she kills the smile. I see it anyway. On the second morning, she slides a coffee across the diner counter without asking. Black. 2 sugars. The way I took it before grief burned the sweetness out of me. She realizes what she has done half a second too late. I look at the cup. She looks at anything else. Habit, she says. Rachel, drink your coffee, Evers. I do. It tastes like memory. On the third night, I catch her skipping the suppressant. She thinks I do not see the way her hand hovers over the bottle and then pulls away. She thinks I do not hear the sick twist of her stomach after she takes it. She thinks I do not know sacrifice when it is standing in front of me, pretending to be stubbornness. You need it? I ask. She closes the cabinet. I need a lot of things I don't take. My hand trembles before I can hide it. Her eyes drop, just for a second. Drake. It's nothing. Liar. The word is almost gentle. That makes it worse. I leave before the bond can mistake concern for permission. The storm comes in that night. Not rain. A warning. Wind drags itself through town, rattling signs and turning the streets silver black beneath the clouds. I am outside the laundromat when I catch the scent. Wolf, male, wrong. My body moves before thought catches up. I cross the alley in 3 strides, teeth already aching, claws pressing beneath my skin. The scent clings to the brick below Rachel's window. Faint, but fresh. A rogue, and under it, barely hidden by charm smoke and wet stone, Rachel. Her scent is leaking. I track him 2 blocks before the trail breaks near the highway. He ran fast, smart enough not to linger, stupid enough to come close in the first place. When I get back, Rachel is waiting at the top of the stairs with a knife in her hand. Of course she is. What happened? She asks. We're leaving. No. A rogue found your window. The defiance does not leave her face, but something behind it tightens. He didn't get in. This time. I'm not going to your pack. I didn't say pack. Her grip shifts on the knife. Then where? A safe house outside town. She laughs once. You have a safe house? I have several. Of course you do. Pack a bag. I hate you. I know. She does not mean it. I wish she did. The safe house sits deep in the pines, an old hunting cabin reinforced with wards and steel beneath the wood. The storm traps us before midnight. Rain batters the roof. Thunder rolls through the trees, hard enough to shake dust from the rafters. No diner, no pack, no apartment locks pretending they can keep fate out. Just Rachel and me. She stands near the fireplace, wrapped in a blanket she refuses to admit she needs. Her coils pulled back loosely, her face warm in the firelight and tired in a way that scrapes at something inside me. What do you remember? She asks. I look up from the wards I am checking by the door. About what? Her throat moves. Loving me. The question guts me because there is no clean answer. I cross the room slowly, stopping far enough away to keep the air from turning electric. Not enough, I say. Her eyes shine. Too much. My voice roughens. I remember the shape of you more than the facts. I remember needing you before I remember why. Rachel covers her mouth with one hand. The tears come silently. That is the thing about her. Even breaking, she tries not to make noise. I hate that she learned how. Can I touch you? I ask. Her eyes lift to mine. For a long moment she does not move. Then she nods. I step close like I'm approaching something sacred. Or wounded, maybe both. My fingers brush her cheek. She exhales, and the sound breaks what is left of me. The kiss starts carefully. It does not stay that way. Rachel rises into me with a small, ruined sound, and I lose the last clean edge of restraint. My hand slides into her hair. hers fist in my shirt. Years of rage and grief and hunger tear open between us. Too much for one mouth, one breath, one lifetime. The bond wakes. Pain blooms in my chest, bright and vicious. Rachel gasps against my mouth. I taste blood. Neither of us pulls away.
The first thing I taste is blood. Not mine, Drake's. He does not pull away. Of course he does not. He kisses like pain is a debt he has already agreed to pay. Like if he holds me hard enough, the years between us will split open and let him crawl back through. For one stupid, ruined second, I let him. Then his breath catches. Not desire, pain. I shove both hands against his chest. The bond flares under my palms. Drake staggers. That is what breaks me. Don't touch me, I gasp, ripping my hands away as if I am the flame, and he is the thing I keep setting on fire. He catches the mantle with one hand. His shoulders rise once, twice. Blood gathers beneath his nose, dark against his mouth. His golden eyes lift to mine with that awful, stubborn heat I remember too well. That is a hell of a thing to say after you kissed me back. You're bleeding. It's nothing. Don't lie to me with my mouth still tasting you. His jaw tightens. Good. Let him be angry. Anger is easier than watching him sway on his feet because I forgot, for the length of one kiss, that wanting has teeth. Before tonight, the bond was a ghost. Now it is awake. Not whole, not healed, not safe. It moves under my ribs like a wounded animal that has caught the scent of home and does not care how many traps are between here and there. My wolf presses toward him in desperate, aching relief. I hate her for it. I understand her completely. Drake wipes the blood away with the back of his hand. It was worth it. Something inside me snaps. No. Rachel. No. My voice comes out sharp enough to cut. Do not make dying romantic. Do not stand there bleeding and call it worth it like that makes any of this beautiful. His mouth hardens. It was beautiful. It almost put you on the floor. I'm still standing, because the mantle is holding you up. He looks down at his hand, as if surprised to find it gripping the wood. Then he lets go. For half a breath he holds. Then his knees dip. I move before I think, but I stop before I reach him. The space between us feels like a live wire. Drake sees me stop. That hurts worse than touching him would have. He lowers himself into the chair by the fire with the slow pride of a man pretending the choice is his. Rain lashes the cabin windows. The wards hum in the walls. Outside, the storm tears through the pines like something hunting. Inside, I stand with my hands curled uselessly at my sides. I can't do this, I whisper. His eyes do not leave me. You already are. By morning, I have not slept. Drake has. That should comfort me. It does not. I sit on the floor across from the couch, knees pulled to my chest, watching the rise and fall of him like my life depends on it. Maybe it does. Maybe it always has. He sleeps hard, deep, no flinching. No claws breaking through his fingers. No nightmare dragging my name out of his throat. Just sleep. Peaceful enough to be cruel. When he wakes, confusion crosses his face first, then realization. Then something softer, almost childlike in its disbelief. I slept, he says. I noticed. His gaze finds me on the floor. You watched me all night. I was making sure you kept breathing. A rough smile touches his mouth. That's very romantic. I hate you. No, you don't. I should argue, I do not. The days after that become a punishment disguised as compromise. Drake keeps me at the safe house while his men sweep Hartwell for the rogue's trail. I refuse to go back to his territory. He refuses to let me return to the apartment. So we meet in the ugly middle. An old cabin, guarded roads, and enough unspoken need to choke on. The bond does not sleep again. It hums when he enters a room, tightens when he says my name, burns when his shoulder brushes mine in the narrow kitchen, and he has to brace one hand on the counter until the pain passes. He hides it badly, or maybe I know him too well. a tremor in his fingers when he reaches for a mug. Blood he wipes away before anyone else sees. A moment on the porch where his body goes rigid, his breath short and silent, and Mason turns his head like he heard something break. I see all of it. Drake sees me seeing. We say nothing until the third night, when I catch him leaning over the bathroom sink with both hands planted on the porcelain, his head bowed, blood dripping into the basin. My stomach drops. Drake. I'm fine. If you say that one more time, I'm going to throw something heavy at your head. He lifts his eyes in the mirror. They are gold around the edges, tired, alive in a way that makes everything worse. You always did threaten violence when you were scared. Because murder is easier than panic. That does it. He laughs. Not much. Just one broken sound. But it is real. It hits the tiny bathroom wall and comes back at me as a memory. Drake laughing in the orchard behind the pack house. Drake laughing with his head tipped back under a summer moon. Drake laughing before love became a death sentence. My hand goes to my mouth. His smile fades. Rachel, you don't get to laugh like that. Why not? Because it makes me want things. His voice drops. Good. No, not good. I step back. You're declining. I'm living. Your body is failing. My heart isn't. That is not enough. It is to me. Rage rises so fast it blurs my vision. Selfish, I say. He does not flinch. Yes. The word empties the room. I stare at him. He turns from the sink, too steady now, which means it costs him. Yes, Rachel, I am selfish. I want you. I want to sleep without waking up tearing walls apart. I want to remember what your voice sounds like when you're not lying to save me. I want one damn thing in my life that grief did not get to keep. Tears burn behind my eyes. Even if it kills you? His silence is answer enough. Mason corners me the next afternoon. Not really corners. Men like Mason do not need to block doors to make a point. He waits until Drake is outside with 2 wolves, pretending a discussion about patrol routes is not an excuse to stay on his feet. Mason stands beside me at the kitchen window. Broad shoulders, hard face, loyalty wrapped around him like armor. He won't listen to me, he says. That sounds like a you problem. It becomes a pack problem when our alpha bleeds every time you stand too close. I turn on him. Careful. His gaze does not move from Drake. I am being careful. If I weren't, I would have dragged you out of here myself. My wolf snarls. So does something worse. Try. For the first time, Mason looks at me. I won't. He'd kill me. He might not be able to much longer. The words leave my mouth before I can stop them. Mason's face does not soften, but something tired passes through it. Then you know. I want to hate him. I cannot, because his fear looks too much like mine. If you stay, Mason says quietly, he may not survive it. I look through the window at Drake. He is speaking to one of the guards, rain-dark hair falling over his brow, shoulders squared like pain is something he can order to kneel. Then, as if he feels me looking, his head turns. Our eyes meet through the glass. The bond reaches. His hand curls into a fist at his side. Mine does too. That night, Drake sleeps again because I sit in the chair by his bed and pretend distance is mercy. His breathing evens. The hard lines in his face loosen. My presence soothes the nightmares out of him, and under the blanket, his fingers tremble. I am healing his heart. I am killing his body. Drake opens his eyes in the dark. Come here. No, Rachel. Rest. I rest when you're close. That isn't fair. I know. His hand extends across the bed, palm up. Not commanding. Asking. The bond stirs, eager and hungry and doomed. I should leave the room. Instead, I stand. Drake's eyes soften like that alone saves him. I take one step toward the bed. A thin line of blood slips from his nose before I ever touch him.
A thin line of blood slips from my nose before Rachel ever touches me. She sees it. Of course she does. Her body stops halfway across the room, one foot bare against the old floorboards, one hand lifted like she forgot what she meant to do with it. The fire throws gold over her warm brown skin, over the tears she refuses to let fall, over the mouth I have spent years hating because I remembered the shape of it before I remembered my own peace. No, she whispers. I wipe the blood away. Come here. Drake. Come here, Rachel. Her eyes flash. Do you hear yourself? Yes. No, you don't. Her voice breaks on the edge of anger. You are bleeding because I moved toward you. I was bleeding before you moved. That is not better. It is honest. That shuts her mouth. Good. I am tired of careful lies. Tired of mercy that feels like abandonment. Tired of being protected from the only thing that has ever made me feel alive. Rachel looks at me like she knows exactly what I am thinking. And maybe she does. Maybe broken bonds still leave splinters deep enough to translate silence. You need rest, she says. I need you to stop deciding what I need. Her flinch is small. It still hits me in the chest. I push myself upright. The room tilts. Not much. Enough. Rachel takes another step before she catches herself. There it is again. Her instinct. Her love. The thing she keeps trying to bury under guilt and teeth. Don't, I say. She freezes. Don't help you. Don't stop yourself from wanting to. Her throat moves. Outside, the storm has weakened into steady rain. It taps the roof, runs down the windows, turns the cabin into an island. Mason and the others are posted beyond the tree line, close enough to hear if I call. Too close for tonight. I reach for my phone on the bedside table. Rachel's eyes narrow. What are you doing? Buying us silence. Drake. I call Mason before she can argue. He answers immediately. Alpha. No one comes inside until morning. A pause. Too long. Is everything all right? No. Another pause. Then Mason says, low and careful, that is not reassuring. I didn't mean it to be. Rachel's stare burns through me. Mason exhales. Alpha, if this is about her, it is always about her. Silence. I do not explain. I am done explaining grief to men who were lucky enough not to be mated to death itself. No one comes in, I repeat. Yes, Alpha. I end the call. Rachel shakes her head. You are impossible. I've been called worse tonight. Selfish was accurate. Yes. She looks away like the word hurts more when I agree with it. I stand. My legs hold, but barely. The bond pulses through my ribs, awake and greedy, dragging pain behind it like chains over stone. Rachel notices the breath I do not quite manage to take. Sit down. No. Drake. No more orders. I take one step toward her, then another, slow, deliberate, letting her see the cost, because she asked for truth and I'm going to give her all of it. No more noble lies. No more running. No more pretending distance is mercy when it is killing us in different ways. It is killing you in one very specific way. And losing you killed me and all the others. Her face crumples. Not fully. Rachel Underwood does not break where anyone can see unless the damage is too deep to hide. But I see the crack. I have always seen her, even when memory tried to take from me. I stop close enough to feel her warmth, not touching, still asking. Tonight, I say, we tell the truth. Her laugh is wet and bitter. That sounds dangerous. It is. It won't change anything. No, my voice drops. But maybe it gives us one thing that wasn't stolen. Rachel closes her eyes. For a second, I think she will refuse. Then she whispers, one night. The words are not a promise. They are a wound opening. I should say no. I should demand years. I should take all the time fate owes me and make the world choke on the debt. Instead, I nod. One night, no lies. Her eyes open. There is fear in them. Love, too. The kind that ruined us both. She lifts her hand first. I do not move. Her fingers hover near my shirt, trembling. Can I? She asks. The question almost brings me to my knees more than the pain. Yes. She touches my chest. The bond flares. Agony lances through me, bright and immediate. My jaw locks. My wolf surges toward her, not away from the pain, but through it, as if suffering is only another door with Rachel on the other side. Rachel feels my body react. Her hand starts to pull back. I cover it with mine. Don't. You said no lies. It hurts, I say. Tears gather along her lashes. I keep her hand against my chest. And I still want you here. That is cruel. No. Cruel is making me ache alone because you think pain gives you the right to leave. She sucks in a breath. I regret the words the moment they land, but I do not take them back. No lies. Rachel steps closer until the space between us disappears everywhere except where our hands press over my heart. I hated you sometimes, she says. The confession comes out small. I go still. She looks up at me, eyes shining, mouth unsteady. Not because you did anything wrong. Not because I wanted you dead. God, Drake, I wanted you alive so badly I tore myself apart for it. Her voice breaks. But sometimes I would wake up in whatever cheap room I was hiding in, sick from suppressants, choking on my own wolf, and I would think about you breathing, living, being alpha, surviving me. A tear slides down her cheek. And I hated you for it, she whispers, just for a second. Then I hated myself more. The truth should cut. It does, but not the way she fears. I lift my free hand slowly, giving her time to stop me. She does not. I brush the tear from her face with my thumb. I hated you for making me survive at all. Rachel's breath catches. I hold her gaze. After you left, everyone told me to keep going, for the pack, for duty, for my name. But it wasn't duty that kept dragging me out of bed. My throat tightens around years I never gave words to. It was rage. It was the thought that you had done something unforgivable to keep me alive, and if I died anyway, then all that pain meant nothing. Her lips part. You turned breathing into obedience, I say, and I hated you for that. She covers her mouth with her hand. I let her. There are truths too ugly to be comforted immediately. The fire snaps behind us. Rain whispers over the roof. The cabin walls hold our confessions like they are sacred. I never stopped loving you, Rachel says. The words are quiet. They still shake the room. My wolf goes utterly still. I have imagined hearing that sentence in 1,000 cruel ways. In dreams, in nightmares, in the moment before waking. Sometimes she said it and vanished. Sometimes she said it while dying. Sometimes she said it like an apology I was too angry to accept. Now she stands in front of me, alive, shaking, ruined by the truth. And I am not angry, not at that. Love was never the wound, I tell her. Her eyes search mine. Losing you was. A sound breaks out of her, and then she is against me. I catch her because I have always been waiting to. The kiss is careful for exactly one breath. Then it becomes everything else. Rachel kisses me like confession, like grief, like the first night and the last night tangled together until neither of us knows where memory ends. Her hands fist in my shirt. Mine cup her face, slide into her hair, hold without trapping. Every time she trembles, I loosen my grip. Every time I pull back to ask, she answers by coming closer. Still, I ask, is this okay? Yes. Still, yes. Rachel. She presses her forehead to mine. If you ask me one more time, I'm going to cry harder. That wasn't an answer. A broken laugh slips out of her. Yes, Drake. Still yes. So I kiss her again. The pain comes with it. Of course it does. It blooms under my ribs, spreads through my spine, settles deep in my bones. I taste blood again. I hide nothing this time. When Rachel feels me tense, I let her see why. When she touches my jaw and whispers my name like a warning, I tell her the truth. I can take it. I can't. That stops me. Her hands flatten against my chest. I can't watch you suffer because you love me. You don't have to watch. I turn my face into her palm. Stay with me in it. Her eyes close. For a moment she does not move, then she nods. We do not rush after that. Want is there, sharp and starving. But so is mourning. So is the grave we have both been living beside for years. We sit before the fire first, tangled in a blanket, her head against my shoulder, my hand wrapped around hers. We talk because silence has already stolen too much. She tells me about the diner regular who thinks she cannot tell he waters down his ketchup. I tell her Mason cried once after being bitten by a goose at 14 and threatened death to anyone who mentioned it. She laughs into my neck, and the sound hurts worse than the bond. She tells me she used to stand in grocery store aisles and forget what name she was using. I tell her I slept on the floor for months because the bed smelled like her, until one day it didn't, and that was worse. She cries then. I kiss the top of her head. Later, when we find our way to the bed, it is not simple. Nothing between us has ever been simple. Every touch pauses to ask. Every answer comes honest. There is tenderness, hunger, grief with hands, love with teeth. There are moments when the bond flares and my vision blurs. There are moments when Rachel nearly pulls away. Each time I bring her back with the only thing stronger than fear, choice. I'm here, I tell her. You're hurting. I'm here. Drake, with you. That is the truth that carries us through the night. Not fate, not the bond, us. For one night, Rachel is not a ghost, and I am not a grave dressed like an alpha. We are skin and breath and whispered names. We are apology without forgiveness, love without safety, need without any promise that morning will be kind. When she finally falls asleep against me, her hand rests over my heart like she is guarding it from herself. I do not sleep immediately. I watch her. The woman who left, the woman who stayed, the woman whose absence made a monster out of me, and whose presence is making a dying man feel whole. Near dawn, I try to stand, not far, just to reach the water on the table. My body refuses. The first attempt sends a black wave through my vision. The second puts me on one knee beside the bed, one hand gripping the frame hard enough to crack the wood. Rachel wakes instantly. Drake? I'm fine. Her eyes harden. No lies. The words come back like judgment. I drag in a breath. No, I'm not. She sits up slowly, sheet clutched to her chest, hair loose around her shoulders, face drawn with exhaustion and horror. I manage to stand on the third try. Barely. Rachel does not move toward me. That is how I know she is truly afraid. I reach the table, pour water with a hand that will not stop shaking. Drink because pride is useless if I collapse before I can speak. When I turn back, she is watching me with an expression I recognize. I saw it years ago, though memory buried the edges. Not fear, not guilt. Mercy. My blood runs colder than the dawn air. Rachel, I say. She looks away. And just like that, the night begins to end.
Drake says my name like he already knows. Not all of it. Not the shape of the plan forming inside me. not the weight of the decision settling behind my ribs like a stone. But he knows the look on my face. He saw it once before, years ago, and it cost us everything. Rachel. I cannot answer, because if I open my mouth, I will beg. Not for him to forgive me, not for him to understand, for him to make this easy. He stands by the table with one hand braced against it, his knuckles white from the force of staying upright. Blood stains the corner of his mouth. His shoulders are squared like pride can hold together what the bond has started tearing apart. I look at him and understand with perfect, vicious clarity. I did not save him. I delayed this. Say something, he says. I shake my head. His eyes sharpen. Don't do that. Do what? Leave before you leave. The words gut me. I turn away because I cannot let him see that they land. Too late. Drake always sees too much when it matters. You need to sleep, I tell him. I need you to look at me. No. Rachel. No. My voice cracks, and I hate it. If I look at you, I will stay. The cabin goes still. Even the rain seems to hold its breath. Drake takes one step toward me. His body betrays him before I can. His knees nearly buckle. He catches the chair hard enough to send it scraping across the floor. That sound makes my choice for me. I go to him because instinct is cruel. Because my wolf does not understand strategy, only pain. Because every part of me that loves him still runs toward him when he falls. He lets me help him back to the bed. That is how weak he is. Drake Evers lets me hold his weight. He sits on the edge of the mattress, breathing carefully through his nose, jaw locked, eyes burning holes into me. Don't make plans while I'm too tired to stop you, he says. A laugh breaks out of me. It is ugly, wet. Then don't make me watch you die because I'm too weak to walk away. His face closes, not with anger, with hurt. That is worse. I'm not dead. Not yet. He flinches. I should apologize. I do not. No more lies. By noon, he finally sleeps. Not because he chooses to, because his body takes the decision out of his hands. Mason comes in once, sees him unconscious, then looks at me with the quiet accusation of a man who knows exactly what love can ruin. I expect him to say it again. If you stay, he may not survive it. He does not. Maybe my face says I already know. He'll wake soon, Mason says. No, I answer. He won't. Mason's eyes narrow. I meet them. Don't ask me anything you don't want to answer for later. Rachel. Please. That stops him. Maybe because it is the first time I've ever said that word to him. Maybe because he understands I'm not asking for help. I am asking for silence. His jaw flexes. If you run, he'll follow. I know. If you hide, he'll find you. I know. If you use magic strong enough to stop him, my wolf may not come back from it. Mason goes still. There it is. The thing I have not said out loud. The ritual is old. Older than most pack laws. Older than mercy pretending to be clean. I found the first mention of it 3 years after I left Drake, when the suppressants stopped working for a month, and I woke up every night clawing at my own skin, desperate to follow a bond I had already broken. The woman who sold me the page had no name, or maybe she had too many. She told me it would bury my scent so deep the earth itself would forget me. She told me it would cut whatever remained of a soul tether from my side only. She told me wolves were not meant to survive being made that quiet. I bought it anyway. Then I folded the page into the lining of my emergency bag and promised myself I would only use it if Drake found me. I hate past me for being right. Mason's voice lowers. Does he know? No. Does it kill you? Maybe not. That isn't an answer. It's the only one I have. He looks toward the bedroom where Drake sleeps like something struck down. You think he'll thank you? I think he'll live. Mason says nothing, because there is nothing kind left to say. I spend the rest of the day becoming a ghost again. It should be harder. That is the terrible part. I know how to disappear. I know what fits in one bag, clothes rolled tight, cash hidden in socks, a knife strapped to the inside seam, suppressants wrapped in cloth even though I hate them, charms pulled from window frames and coat linings, the old ritual page soft at the folds, marked with black ink that seems darker every time I look at it. No diner, no Hartwell, no cracked red booths or bad coffee or regulars who think I'm just private, no apartment above the laundromat, no false name Drake can trace. This time, I will not build a hiding place. This time, I will become the hiding. When night falls, Drake wakes. I am sitting beside him with the half-written letter folded beneath my thigh. His eyes open slowly. For one breath, he looks peaceful. Then he sees me. "You're still here," he says. The relief in his voice nearly destroys me. Yes. The lie is not in the word. It is in everything after it. He studies me for a long moment. "Come here." I'm already here. Closer. I do not move. His mouth tightens. "Rachel, you need to rest." I've rested. "You collapsed." "I got tired." "You nearly hit the floor." "I didn't." I laugh softly. "You are the most stubborn man I have ever met." His gaze warms in a way that makes the bond stretch between us, hungry and grieving. "You used to like that. I used to think love could win arguments with death. And now I know death does not argue. It waits." I look away. Drake reaches for my hand, then stops before he touches me. That restraint is its own kind of devastation. "I won't ask you to stay tonight," he says. My eyes snap back to his. "I won't," he repeats, "but don't insult me by pretending you are not already leaving." The letter beneath me feels suddenly alive. I stand too fast. His eyes follow the movement. To the chair. To the folded paper. "Rachel." "No." "Give it to me." "No." He pushes himself up. "Drake, don't." He does anyway. Of course he does. His feet hit the floor. His body sways. I step forward before I can stop myself, but he lifts one hand. "Don't help me if you're going to vanish after." The words stop me cold. He crosses the room by sheer force of will and takes the letter from the chair. I do not fight him. Maybe because I want him to read it. Maybe because I could not finish it. He unfolds the paper. There are only 3 lines. "Drake, I am sorry this has to be another goodbye. I love you too much to stay." His face does not change. That is how I know it hurts. "I couldn't finish," I whisper. His fingers tighten around the page. "Because it is the same letter." "No." "Yes." His voice is quiet, worse than shouting. "Different paper. Same knife." Tears burn hot behind my eyes. "I have to go." "No. You don't get to say no to this." "I do." "No, Drake, you don't." My voice rises. "You don't get to make me stand here and watch you bleed for wanting me. You don't get to turn my guilt into proof that I should stay. You don't get to die beautifully and call it choice." His eyes flash gold. "And you don't get to decide that my life is worth more than yours. My life isn't the one being drained. Isn't it?" I go silent. He steps closer. "Look me in the eye and tell me this isn't killing you." I cannot. My wolf is pressed low inside me, exhausted from years of being chained, drugged, silenced. The bond is tearing at her from one side and my fear from the other. Every time I choose Drake's breath over my own soul, something in me goes quieter. But quiet is not dead. Drake would be. "I can survive being broken," I say. His face twists. "I can't survive you breaking yourself for me again." "You did." "No." His voice drops to something raw. "I endured it. That is not the same thing." The room tilts around us. I clutch the strap of my packed bag because if I let go, I may reach for him. "I'm begging you," I whisper. "Let me go." His expression cracks. For one terrible second, I think he will. Then Drake shakes his head. "No." A sob tears up my throat. Why? Because this time you don't carry the choice alone. I stare at him. He looks wrecked, furious, half standing on pride and pain. But there is something settled in him now. Something colder than desperation. A decision. Fear slides under my skin. What did you do? Nothing yet. Drake. I sent Mason for someone. My blood turns to ice. Who? A witch who owes my bloodline more than she wants to admit. No. She knows the old severing rites. No. She knows how to end it completely. The bag slips from my fingers and hits the floor. The bond surges hard enough to make us both inhale. End it completely. Not suppress. Not bury. Not cut only my side and leave him with whatever hunger survived. End it. The sacred thread. The wolf's knowing. The invisible hand that has reached for him through every locked room, every false name, every year I pretended survival was enough. Gone. My voice comes out small. If the bond dies fully, we live. You don't know that. I know enough. We won't be mates. The words barely make sound. Drake's jaw tightens. No. I press a hand over my mouth, because I thought I had already lost him in every way a person could lose someone. I was wrong. There is this too. No pull in my ribs when he enters a room. No wolf lifting her head at his scent. No soul-deep certainty that even pain could not erase. Just memory. Just choice. Maybe that should comfort me. It does not. Don't, I whisper. Drake's eyes shine, but no tears fall. Rachel, don't make me lose you twice. His answer comes quiet. Merciless. You already did. The words hit like the final cut. I step back from him. He lets me. For once, he lets me. Outside, beyond the cabin walls, a wolf howls low in the trees. Another answers. Mason's voice rises, sharp and distant, giving orders I cannot make out. Someone has arrived. The witch. The end. Drake bends slowly, picks up my bag, and sets it on the chair instead of giving it back to me. Then he holds out his hand. Not to stop me. Not to claim me. To ask me to walk with him toward the thing that will ruin us cleanly. I stare at his palm. The bond between us trembles, alive and terrified. So am I.
By the time we reach the hollow, the moon is already waiting. I hate that. It hangs above the eastern orchard like it remembers us, like it has been keeping record. The black stones still circle the clearing. Wild lavender crowds the edges, wet from the earlier rain, bruising the air with a scent that cuts too close to Rachel. Vanilla, smoke, rainwater, wild lavender, her, always her. My wolf presses against my ribs, not snarling now, grieving. He knows this place. So do I. This is where the bond first woke years ago, under a summer moon, before death learned our names. Rachel had laughed at something I said. I do not even remember what. I only remember her hand brushing mine, the sudden pull in my chest, the way the whole world narrowed to one woman looking back at me, like she had just heard her soul answer. Tonight, she stands beside me with her arms wrapped around herself, warm brown skin muted beneath the silver light, dread drawing her face tight and ashen at the edges. She looks at the stones, then at me. We don't have to do this, she says. The bond flinches between us. Even now it wants to live. Yes, I answer. We do. Mara Ven waits near the center of the circle. The witch looks older than I remember, and no kinder. Her grey hair is braided down her back, threaded with bone charms and black ribbon. She owes my bloodline a debt old enough to have become resentment. Good. Resentment is more reliable than pity. Mason stands at the tree line with two of my wolves. He has not said a word since we left the safe house. That worries me more than his objections would have. When I look back at him, His jaw tightens. Alpha. That one word carries too much. Don't, please, let someone else pay this time. I shake my head once. Mason lowers his eyes, not in submission, in grief. No one enters the circle, Mara says. Her voice is dry as dead leaves. Not your wolves, not your second, not even if one of you screams. Rachel's breath catches. I turn toward the witch. Explain it. Mara's mouth curves without warmth. Now you want instruction? A growl moves through my chest. Her smile dies. The bond was already broken once, she says. Badly, brutally. One-sided severing leaves teeth behind. That is what has been eating at you both. Her gaze flicks to Rachel. Mostly him. Rachel looks like the words strike bone. I want to shield her from them. I do not. No more mercy made of lies. This rite ends what remains, Mara continues. Completely. No suppression, no burial, no thread hiding beneath scar tissue. If either of you refuses when the bond rises, it will not break. It will twist deeper. Rachel swallows. And if we don't refuse, then you survive. That isn't what I asked. Mara's eyes sharpen. Then ask better. Rachel's hands curl at her sides. What do we lose? For the first time, the witch looks almost human. Everything fate gave you. Silence follows that, the kind before a killing blow. I feel Rachel sway beside me. I do not touch her. If I do, the bond will answer. If the bond answers, pain will come. If pain comes, she will try to save me again. I am done being saved by her suffering. Mara kneels and lights the sage. The scent rises, rain, blood, burning sage. My nightmare has a smell. Rachel turns toward me, eyes wide. She remembers too. Drake, she whispers. I know. Mara draws symbols in ash around the stones. She sets a bowl of water beneath the moon, then drops something black and shining into it. Obsidian. Bone. A piece of a thing that used to be alive. Step inside, she says. Rachel does not move. Neither do I. For one last moment we stand outside the circle as mates. Broken mates. Doomed mates. Still mates. Then Rachel lifts her chin and walks in first. Of course she does. Brave woman, cruel woman. Mine, not mine after tonight. The thought nearly takes me to my knees. I follow her. The circle closes behind us with a sound like a door locking. Mara's voice lowers. Give your names as fate knew them. I look at Rachel. Her eyes are wet, but she does not look away. Drake Evers, I say. The stones hum. Rachel's lips part. For 1 second she is the girl under the summer moon again. Then she says, Rachel Underwood. The bond rises. It is beautiful. That is the worst part. It spills open between us like gold under skin, not gentle, not safe, but alive. So alive. I feel it drag through every wound, every year, every ruined place inside me where her absence became structure. And then I feel her. All of her. Not pieces, not scent, not memory. Her. Rachel in cheap motel rooms with 3 locks on every door. Rachel vomiting suppressants into a sink, then wiping her mouth and going to work like survival was a shift she could clock into. Rachel laughing at diner regulars, so no one would ask why her eyes looked dead by closing time. Rachel curled on bathroom floors, with her wolf whining inside her, both of them starving for me, both of them choosing my breath over their own comfort. Rachel writing my name and burning the paper. Rachel loving me so hard she made herself the villain. The pain of it cracks something open in me. I stagger. She gasps at the same time, because she feels me too. I know the moment she does. Her hand flies to her mouth. No, she breathes. Yes, let her see it. Let her feel every full moon my wolf stood at the ridge and waited. Let her feel the bed I stopped sleeping in because losing her scent from the sheets hurt worse than smelling it. Let her feel Mason pulling me off men who said she was dead. Let her feel the years I ruled with my heart rotting quietly behind my ribs. Let her know the truth. I did not stop loving her. I just became dangerous with nowhere to put it. Rachel sobs once. The sound tries to undo me. Mara begins to chant. The words are old, older than Pax, older than law. They crawl through the clearing and hook into the bond, pulling it higher, brighter, tighter. The thread between Rachel and me becomes visible, a living strand of gold and shadow stretching from her chest into mine. My wolf howls. Rachel's wolf answers, for the last time. Mutual release, Mara says. Speak it, or the rite fails. Rachel shakes her head. I step closer. The bond burns. Blood slips hot beneath my nose. Rachel sees it and breaks. I can't, she says. Drake, I can't. You can. I already did this once. Not like this. I left you. And I found you. I broke us. We were already breaking. Her tears spill freely now. I don't want a world where I don't know you in my bones. God. My chest caves around the words. I reach for her, then stop with my hand suspended between us. Choice. Always choice now. You will still know me, I say. It won't be the same. No. That truth hurts too much to dress gently. No, I repeat. It won't. Rachel looks at my hand. Then she places hers in it. The bond surges. The world goes bright with pain. For one heartbeat I feel fate begging. Not with words, with memory. Our first kiss. Her laugh in the orchard. Her body sleeping warm against mine. The way she said my name before she left. The way she says it now. Drake. I close my fingers around hers. I release you, I say, voice breaking. From the bond, from the wound, from saving me alone. Rachel trembles. Then she grips my hand harder. I release you, she whispers. From my fear, from my leaving, from loving me like dying is proof. Mara steps forward with the obsidian blade. Rachel reaches for it. No, I say. Her eyes snap to mine. Drake. No. This is mutual. It is. I take the blade before she can. But the final cut is mine. She shakes her head hard. Don't do that. Don't make this another sacrifice. It isn't. Then what is it? I look at the thread between us. Beautiful. Hungry. Doomed. A choice. The blade is cold in my hand. Mara watches without expression. Cut where it enters you, Alpha. If you hesitate, it will root again. Rachel grabs my wrist. The bond screams. So does my body. I nearly drop the blade. Please, she says. There is no demand in it. Only love. Only terror. Only the woman who has lost me once and is about to stand here while I remove the last sacred language we share. I lean down until my forehead touches hers. For once, the pain does not matter, or maybe it matters more because it is the last time. The bond was never the whole of our love, I tell her. Her breath shatters. It was just the first way we knew how to speak it. Then I straighten, and I cut. The blade passes through the thread where it enters my chest. For a second, nothing happens. Then the world tears. The bond snaps with a sound I feel more than hear. It rips through me, through my wolf, through every memory fate ever touched. Rachel's hand is torn from mine. The moon vanishes behind a burst of gold so bright it blinds me. I hit the ground. Maybe she does too. I cannot hear her. I cannot feel her. That is the first horror. No ache in my ribs, no pull, no second heartbeat beside my own. Just my body, broken open and breathing. Just my wolf, silent with shock. Just me. Drake. Her voice reaches me like any voice would, through air, not soul. I force my eyes open. Rachel is on her knees across from me, one hand pressed to her chest, tears shining on her face. She is alive, breathing, whole enough to hurt. I wait for the bond to recognize her. It does not. Her scent is still there. Vanilla, smoke, rainwater, wild lavender. But it no longer commands my blood. No invisible thread drags me toward her. No wolf claws at my insides to claim, comfort, protect, possess. I look at Rachel Underwood, and the emptiness where fate used to live opens its mouth. I can't feel you, she whispers. I close my eyes. The words should kill me, they do not. That is the mercy. That is the cruelty. I know. Mason calls my name from beyond the stones, but he does not enter. Good man. Good friend. Mara's shadow passes over us. It is done. Rachel laughs once, broken and soft, like the sound has nowhere to land. That's it? The witch says nothing, because yes, that is it. Everything sacred can end in a breath. I push myself upright. For the first time in weeks, pain does not answer Rachel's nearness. My lungs expand without resistance. My heart beats hard, damaged but mine. Alive. I hate it. Rachel watches me stand. I watch her do the same. Neither of us reaches out. Not because we do not want to. Because wanting is quieter now. Human. Terrible. Free. The moon shines over the hollow where fate found us once and lost us tonight. Rachel wipes her face with shaking hands. What now? She asks. I look at her. No bond answers for me. No wolf decides. No destiny opens its mouth. Only memory, only love, only the ruin of choice waiting between us. I don't know, I say. And for the first time it is the whole truth.
I gave you a home inside my chest. Now every breath feels like theft. You carved your name into my veins, then walked away like it meant nothing. Tell me why I still reach for you. Tell me, like a fool touching fire, even knowing it burns me through. Come back, or take this heart with you, please. 'Cause I don't know how to live without your shadow. You left your ghost in everything I do, and I'm still loving you when I shouldn't. Try to hate you, God, I tried, but your memory